What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you are, West Coast, Southwest, East Coast, Midwest, down South. It's showtime here on the Trigger Mike Show. Welcome this good Thursday, March 16th, 2023. It's good to have everybody in the house. Welcome to the Trigger Mike Show on the Lapeef Network. Greetings to you and thanks for tuning in on this great afternoon. It's still spring break. All right. So hopefully everybody is enjoying the week as it's almost over. You know, we got activities on the weekend. If you're a family man like me, the weekend is no break at all. It's just more work, activities, soccer, gymnastics, chores. And then Sunday is just more chores, getting ready for Monday. Y'all already know how it is. But shouts out to everybody making it work, making it do what it do. We got nothing but love for you. And salute to you for everything you do for the community and keeping it pushing. All the services you provide, you are appreciated. Salute to all the viewers nationwide and international. All right, all my international folks that watch Canada, UK, Africa. We definitely got Nigeria in the house. I know we got some Ghanaians watching. Welcome to the Trigger Mike Show. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so yeah, those of you who are notorious for not hitting that like button, go ahead and do so right now. Hit that like button on your way in for the YouTube algorithm, letting everyone know this is what you're watching this morning. All right. We appreciate that. Please go ahead and hit that like button. Get those likes up if you're watching right now. All right. Also, subscribe if you have not. Also, subscribe if you have not and join the channel for channel perks. Okay. It's an excellent thing to support your people. One way to support is to subscribe, like, and join the network. 3 ways, actually. Okay. We always love monetary donations as supports in the form of super chat. But if you can't do that, I want you to share. Share this out to people on your Facebook news feed, all those teachers that you know, all those people that are home right now, not doing anything on their spring break. All those your cousins, your sister, your brother, anybody that has time off right now, let them know this is what you're watching and why they need to tune in. If they are married, let them know that they can come on the panel and participate. I want to talk to a whole different groups of people on this topic, okay? So make sure you tell them if they like what they hear, they can support the show as well. All right, via super chat. If you are watching live, please send a super chat to the answers of our questions to show your support to the show and the panelists. Or if you're watching the broadcast and it's not live, you can support in the form of a super thanks. All right, just go over, find that little monetary button, usually says super chat or super thanks, or it's just a little $ logo. Show your support to the show that way. Who I got in the chat this good afternoon? Dale Matthew, what's going on? Advanced Perception, how you doing? Hack, salute to you. Black, what's going on? We building over here. Sugar Curls, if you got time, come on, talk with us. We love the female perspective over here. Miss D, how you doing? We building over here. Quincy, what's going on? AP, what's up, my brother? Clement Gray, how you doing? Clement Gray says, what up, Trigger Mike? Don't know why I got married. It's trash and it needs to be blown. Oh, man. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Today's topic, if you did not see the thumbnail, is why did I get married? Okay. Why did I get married? Okay. This is not like a, I like my topics sometimes very literal, sometimes not. But we had a very in-depth discussion yesterday, and the topic of marriage kept coming up. It kept coming up. Is a 45K per year man good enough? And does he need a woman? And, in those type of conversations, marriage comes up a lot. It does. It comes up a lot. Okay. So we want to talk about it. Sometimes us married people got to stand at the gate. We've seen a lot of BS this week. We've seen a lot of BS from Sierra and Russell Wilson. This is confusing people who thought they might want to be a part of this institution. We are confusing people who are aspiring to be a part of this institution about what it entails and how to do it correctly. But who I also want to speak to, I want to speak on this topic to the young brothers and sisters who are on the fence and don't understand what this tradition is really about because they've had a lack of an example to carry it out the right way. I understand. I understand 100% why you're afraid of this particular institution. I do. I do. I understand. Many of you are just afraid. There is no other way to slice it, no other way to put it. If you're somebody that knows that somebody actually wants to get married, they are just really afraid that they won't be able to do it correctly. Put a one in the chat. I know tons of people like this. Most of these women on YouTube talking, they just talking, saying they can be by themselves and all of that. It is a defense mechanism. They want to be married. Are you kidding me? They want one man to dedicate his life to their provision and their protection. Stop capping. All you ladies on YouTube are capping. All you ladies on YouTube are capping. I don't believe none of you. All right? I don't believe none of you. All y'all want to be married. And yes, Leadership 22 says, here we go worrying about folk that aren't in our tax bracket. Well, I got pushback for that. There are plenty other things you can do as someone who calls yourself a Christian and decides to market to Christian people and then do the bullshit Russell and Sierra did. We won't allow it. See, the funny thing about the masses is that we're not worrying about them because of how rich they are. We're worried about them because of the influence they have. Am I talking nonsense or am I speaking truth? Excuse me. If these idiots have any type of effect on groups of people that involve me, I'm going to say something. Not that I actually expect anyone to change anything, but this is what happens when you have leaders in the community. This is what y'all ask for, right? When y'all ask for people's opinions, when y'all ask for leaders, leaders push back. Leaders let you know when you're not representing well. Everything I do it to represent. And make no mistake, if it ever comes my time to atone for my sins, I'm going to do so. If it ever comes time for people to lash me for something I did wrong, I'm going to sit there and take it because I am responsible. I am a representative. I understand that fully. Those people don't seem to understand it. So we can get on celebrities too. I'm not worried about what they do simply because I'm not in their tax bracket yet. So first off, get that straight. I'm worried about how they represent themselves and how they market themselves to people. They know what influence they have. I'm telling them to choose a side. You got to choose a side. You seen them pictures, they up in there worshiping in front of the church. Put those pictures side by side with Sierra like this. Hands up, worshiping the Lord. She lying. She lying to us. She ain't lying to me. She could lie to you, leadership. She ain't lying to me. Or I don't know if leadership's a dude or a girl. I don't know. Let me know. All right, let me know. But yeah, we can go back and forth on it, leadership. We always appreciate your support and your feedback either way. It's all love. I'm going to drop the link early on this one. I need my people to come help me out on this topic. I need my people to come chime in. If you like what you hear, please support the show because I want to talk to the young people a little bit on this topic. A lot of y'all need to come in and chime in and let people know why you got married. Y'all are going to realize we have more things in common than we have different. So I want all perspectives on this topic. I want people to come up that are married and people that have questions about marriage. I want people that have tried it and it didn't work out. And I want to know why it didn't work out, why you would do it again, or why you staying away from the institution forever. These conversations are what need to be had in the community. Some people say marriage isn't for everybody. Well, let's see. We can get down to the bottom of it today on the Trigger Mike Show. So let's get into it, y'all. So why did I get married? Story time. right around the time I moved to Houston, which is interesting time because when you look at the timeline, which most men get married, that's where I was at. I was 26 years old when I moved here. All right. 10 years ago in August, this August, it was 10 years ago that I moved to Houston, Texas. And I took a new job, nice little, $60,000 a year job at University of Texas Health Science Center. All right. At that time, I was doing very well in the dating arena. I was doing very well in the dating arena. And it's a weird thing because me and Logic had it out a long time ago on a panel when I explained to them. So, I explained this to him. So some of y'all may have heard this story before. But I had a great night. I was only here for about 3 or 4 months. And it was the new year. New year had just passed. And my ex-girlfriend, who is now my wife, came to visit me. She came to visit, and I could tell she was trying to like piece things back together. But I was really hot out here in these streets. And, I wasn't as serious as she was at the time. So the next month, she goes back to Philly where she was living at the time. And I'm out here still cutting up, still doing the damn thing. But I kept feeling like this, I don't know, this palpable feeling like something big is about to happen in your life and you need to pay attention. I went out and had a great night at the club, one night in January, I believe it was. And, young, I was a bit younger, way less, more trim, a lot more buff, looking slim, had my little blazer on, everything. So that night, I pulled the baddest joint. I pulled the baddest joint in the club. No lie. No lie. I actually love living here. Nobody knows who I am. I can just act a fool. I can create a persona of anyone. And it worked. Okay. I put all the game I had into this woman and got her to come to the crib with your boy. So I was enjoying the liberties that came with being a bachelor. As many of you know, I don't got to spell it out for you. I woke up in the middle of the night, party foul. The girl spent the night, party foul. We ain't supposed to do that, right? Let me know if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong for letting the girl spend the night, you let me know. Put a 1 in the chat. I was wrong. That was a party foul. But when I woke up, I felt like this feeling looking at her. And I said, is this going to be my life going forward? I was at a crossroads because I don't really know if every man is like that, y'all. I'm being real with you. I don't know if I like all of the liberties that come with being a bachelor and doing this shit over and over and over again, because it was great to do it as a grown man in a new city. But I did this in college a bunch of times already. So for some reason, I just kept thinking, is this going to be my life? Am I just going to do this every Friday, Saturday, Sunday after brunch? Is this just going to be my life in a cycle? Then I realized I started to exercise a little bit of foresight. Not every man that does this long enough comes out unscathed. So the girl went home. The next day I'm just sitting there on a Sunday contemplating. I was also doing my master's, so I was doing some homework. And my ex-girlfriend hits me up and says, I'm thinking about moving to Houston. Was this a sign or was it not? What y'all tell me? Was this a sign for those of y'all that believes in signs? She said, thank you for letting me come from New Year's. I really love that area. I'm thinking about moving down there. If I come back, will you take me and show me around? Was this a sign or no? Y'all let me know. I have to ask her. I don't know. But either way, it was a sign. This was a sign that this is the crossroads where you need to get your life together. And I took that sign very seriously from that point forward. She moved to Houston and she's now my wife. Simple as that. I don't need to go into it. There are several reasons why you marry somebody. I was raised in a certain way. And I took liberties long enough to know that everyone that stays a bachelor long enough gets bitten by that shit. So you got to ask yourself, most men do not make it out of this time unscathed in their life. So would you rather have a wife or would you rather have a baby mama? I'm just saying. You don't make it to 35 or 40 without that stuff coming back to haunt you. Okay? So I made a choice, and I made the right choice if you ask me, still paying dividends. So there are several reasons to marry somebody, of course. Marriage is an age-old tradition in just about every culture on earth. I was privileged to be taught and have role models to teach me how to function within the institution of marriage. Y'all have heard the usual reasons why people get married. You've heard some of the common reasons, like you don't want to be alone, you have to have life partnership, legacy, and all that, other BS. But I want to get down to the personal reasons why marriage was attractive to me. Okay? It was attractive to me. I told y'all on various occasions that men have to exercise a great amount of foresight to succeed in life. You have to use the resources available to you to predict how your life is going to turn out based on the choices you make. This is the most consistent choice. Are y'all listening? Marriage is the most consistent choice that every high value man or significant man of status makes. If I'm lying, let me know. If you want to know what is consistent amongst most, not some, not a few, most, the large majority of high value men, there's one thing that's consistent. Not their dollar figure, not just their dollar amount, their choices. They chose to get married. This is what I'm talking about when I say use your foresight. High value men get married. All those men took that plunge. Being married is not just being bound to another person. You actually belong to a club. If you in the marriage club, I don't know. Do we got a sign? Throw your M's up. If you in the marriage club, throw your M's up. This is a club. Let me explain this to you. Being married, you actually belong to a club. Let me drop this link again for y'all so y'all can come up and chat with me on this. I want everybody in on this. If you've been married before, if you're divorced, if you're a side chick, I need to know. So come up and talk to us about this today. Being married, you're a part of a club. People treat you different. You get invited to intimate gatherings of a different type, not that swinger stuff. You know what I'm talking about. People trust in you a different way. They give you access to things, etc. Married people know this. Single people who aspire to get married, you're going to soon find out. This is a club. Make no mistake, it is an elite club. It is a whole elite club. You can absolutely benefit from marriage in every facet of your life. Every single one. Tax benefits, favors from friends, inheritance. They don't even, I'm not even sure if they make stats for this, but look at the people that someone left something to. I'm telling you, more married people get left stuff than non-married. Inheritance is a big one. Job opportunities. Most notably, when I was going out for my director's position, I was going against 3 non-married people and 1 other married person. I left out of there with that job. If you want to take an interview into a space where you feel like you're gaining on people, start talking about your wife and kids or your husband and kids. Start talking about that with the interviewer and watch how they just become more casual. Just bring it up casually about what your wife does or while you're answering one of the questions. I was having a conversation with my wife and they're going to be like, oh, this is part of the club. They are part of the club. I want to do good things for this man so he can better take care of his family. Just like somebody did something for me to help me take better care of mine. This comes up in job opportunities as well. This is the most important one for me. There has not been a time in my life, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know if this happened for any of you men that are in the chat or about to come up on the panel. I don't know if this happened for you. But at no point in my life did I envision it without having children. I don't know if it's because I was the eldest child. I didn't know if I just thought if I'm out here smashing women that eventually one of them is going to get pregnant. But I've never envisioned my life without children. And let me tell you something very clearly and directly. Me, this guy, the way I was raised, there was no way I was going to put a child on this earth without attempting to marry its mother. And I've slayed some dragons. I'm not going to lie. So I've slayed some dragons in my life. So, I had to be careful with a few. I had to be careful, but there was no way that I was going to bring a child in this world and not try to marry its mother. I've said this on several occasions. Married people produce the most functional and productive children. I wanted functional and productive children. Just to put it plainly, we have all been front row. We've had a front row seat. We've had a front row seat to the destruction caused by divorce and never married parents. I had a front row seat to it, as well as did you. If you are a millennial and even Gen X, you've seen some of the worst broken homes the world has ever seen in the U.S. This is where it happened. This is where the bomb dropped. All right. It happened the worst here than it happened anywhere in the world. And we had a front row seat to it. And I don't even mean that every situation was contentious, like the parents didn't get along, but the effect that it had on the children was consistent and it was substantial. The effect that divorce and lack of marriage had on the children was consistent. These kids just looked at life a different way. And I didn't want that for my children. I wanted that vibrance. I wanted that spirit where they actually could see the institution of marriage work despite all the problems that can happen within it. So that's just me, man. I want to get to some other fellas as we talk about this. It's not just me. I don't want an echo chamber. King Spark, let me get a peace sign, my guy. All right, big dog. Let me get the Q sign, Mr. Rich. All right, WTP, let me get a 3. Let me throw me up a 3. All right, that's you. What's going on this morning, fellas? How y'all doing?
Or nothing much, same old.
All right,
shout out
King
to
Spark,
everybody.
We'll start with you.
Man, I say that when I started dating intentionally a year, can y'all hear me clearly? Y'all hear background?
Oh, you good?
I'm good. Okay, cool. People in the store. Basically, when I started dating intentionally, it was because I realized that this single lifestyle is a wild lifestyle, and I wasn't gonna be able to sustain very long living this way. And what I mean by that is I went and got the panty dropper apartment, the joint where they pull up to the lobby and they already know it's going. They are you see where I live at, right? Okay, right. We had that the bar. There was a little place called Canton Square. The bar was literally 3 blocks away from a conglomerate of like 8 bars. And all I was doing was walking down the hill, stumbling back up the hill every other night. Sometimes I was alone, sometimes I wasn't. And I just said, man, I can't. This isn't all that it's cracked up to be.
Nope.
And on top of that, I like to do nice things, go nice places, and I figured it'd be better if I could get a woman that I want to take with me every single time than to try to vet a new woman every time to see if I want to take you with me or you good enough to take with me, or you know what I'm saying? So I just realized that I wanted somebody to share all the finer things in life with. So that's how I was dating intentionally, and that's why I'm about to get married in a little bit.
My man, that's a good opening thought.
What was your longest relationship, sir?
You said what now?
What was your longest relationship with one woman where you were being faithful?
When I was being faithful.
What is your longest relationship that you've had with one woman where you were being faithful?
Ain't
Let
never
me get a
had no relationship with one woman.
ruthless. Let me get a
So why
4.
is it that you want to? Okay, so you want
All right.
something that you've never had.
No, what are you talking about? You got we
You
gonna
said you've
start
never
talking
had a relationship with somebody one on one where you're not being faithful.
right.
So why do you want that now for the first time?
I don't want that now.
You just
You
said
have
you do.
to you see we're gonna define some things, man. Marriage to me ain't what marriage is to you. I don't believe in monogamy like that. That's not my
Okay.
thing. You know what
So
I'm
what is
saying?
your ideal of marriage?
My ideal marriage is having a best friend, a partner, uh, counsel, a lover, all of those things.
This is going to be interesting.
This is
Nah,
gonna be interesting.
because honestly, that if you want those four things, but you're giving them the contract to completely fuck you over at the big picture, you're kind of going in for the wrong reason. Because
What
seriously,
contract?
it's
What
it's a bit.
contract?
Go ahead. What were you about to say?
You said what contract? What contract that I'm giving them that's gonna fuck them over? And
The contract with the U.S. government when you're getting married. I think government honestly needs to be outside of marriages, and what I mean by that is that
and I feel the same way.
okay. So, but if you've never had a relationship for, let's say, more than 2 years, and you crave wanting to have a life partner, it's kind of like those people who want to who aren't working, but they're like, oh man, I miss working, but then they go back to work, and like 2 months later, like man, fuck this, I wish I stayed retired. You're kind of setting yourself up with this Disney version of like men. We also get Disneyfied. And the idea of what men really want to get married for, I don't think we actually broke it down. I think most men get married because they just society told them to.
All right,
Okay.
WTP. We're
Well,
gonna hold the thought. I'm gonna develop a question around this because we're doing opening thoughts. Let's get Mr. Rich and then you, and then we'll go back to it.
Yeah, man, somewhere around 26 years old. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Somewhere around 26 years old, I just wanted to have somebody I could hold hands with without trying to duck other women from seeing me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when he's out there playing the field, shit just got boring. I had some pretty nice relationships. I was one of the kind of guys always want to have a girlfriend, kind of. But whether I was 100% faithful or not is another story, right?
Mm.
Because I don't believe in faithful unless you're really married. But I was pretty cool. I didn't just sleep around. I mean, there was always some bad side to just sleeping around. But I had them all kinds of different women. So when I met my wife, I was 26. She was 24 at the time. We got married when she was 26 and I was 28, 29. So, it wasn't no long engagement and stuff like that. And we're still married now. She was it, you know. She satisfied all my needs. That was all I needed. And so, and what did I get married for? It was a tradition in my family, and everybody was married. We had children. I remember I'm a baby boomer. We used to get married back then,
Yep.
right? We
Yep.
got married back then. Like I said, for the two generations before me, my parents and their parents, out of the 32 people in that were a part of the greatest generation, the silent generation, and the baby boomers, 27 out of 32 people were married.
All right, bet. Mr. Ekeneg, let me get a 5. Throw up a 5 sign. All right. All right, WTP. What are your opening thoughts on it?
My opening thoughts are simply this. I think we're like 3 generations deep, and majority of the culture being not married and being produced outside of marriage. And this idea that marriage is going to be the thing that saves the culture, I don't think that's actually the case. I think what we have to honestly do is figure out logical ways for women to behave in breakups. And also, we need to give
Hmm.
men who decide to get married a real benefit um, in case a divorce happens with their children, because there really is no difference between being a baby daddy versus being a man who was divorced and losing your children that way. In fact, I'd say it's actually even worse for a man who got married and then gets divorced because he really kind of put his money on the table to try to live this marriage life. So if men are wanting to get married and women want men to get married, there has to be a difference between being a baby's father and being a husband in the court of law, and something that protects men in a divorce. Other than that, there really is no reason for a man outside of you saying that you're lonely for going down this path with the U.S. government and the idea of marriage. There really is. I've
You know,
bartended for enough older men, younger men who have done this, and they are destroyed by it. Not even those who have been divorced. And I understand that some people have had happy marriages. I get that. But the things that I hear from men and also women when they're married is that they're not generally happy. So we as Black people need to figure out a different idea of relationships because marriage is simply not working for us as a community.
It's not just Black people, and
But
if we were just talking about Black people, there are protections. There are protections in marriage for men, for the most part, until the laws change. And everybody keeps down in prenups, but that's not true. I mean, if you talk to a lawyer, if you do it right, you can hedge what the state might do to you because you can write a prenup that's consistent with the state that you get married in. And you got.
Are we speaking about average men? Because can the
average man
afford this?
Well, hold on, man. I'm gonna shut up because we got to go around. The average man has insurance policies on his car. He got insurance here if he has a house. He got insurance on that. Prenup is nothing more than a marriage insurance. That's it. That's enough. We'll talk about it later, but that's how.
Dre, let me get a 3 symbol from you so I know it's you.
And furthermore, a marriage is between two people, man. You don't have to all directly involve the state right away.
A marriage is between you and that woman's friends. Don't get it
all right, we got questions. We got questions.
This is not just between you and that woman.
Between you and a woman's what?
You and that woman's friend circle can destroy your marriage if you ain't playing right.
All right, let's go around and we're going to get back
Mike, why? Hold on, man.
Like
I know.
We 42 minutes in. I'm gonna have to mute somebody. This crazy. What ruthless truth? What you got on it, sir?
I believe marriage makes you look weak or makes you weak.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, because you're basically, first of all, you're getting on one knee, which is a symbol of you're submitting. That's one. Now, then on top of that, now you're submitting under her agenda, right? Because everything she knows in her mind that if this doesn't work, everything goes in her favor, regardless of whether she's wrong or right. So therefore, when you have them tough conversations, tough arguments, right? Always in the back of her mind, right? And then always in the back of your mind. You stand to lose. You stand to lose. So the thing that you're protecting, which is the marriage itself, the protection that you're providing, it's meaning potentially risking your life or whatever, right? Can also take your livelihood, right? And it is the government. This is the way the America wants it, and women are well aware of this, and they abuse this power in the relationships, in marriages, and you kind of have to take it, especially when there's kids involved, right? Because you just don't, man, kids. Everything changes for you. Your whole life, literally, over one disagreement. I mean, just look at Tom Brady, right? The American killer.
Tom Brady.
Okay, so
just burnt the house down.
Ready for war. Okay.
Just burnt the house down.
So ruthless. What's the difference between married with kids and being unmarried with kids in terms of what the state's going to do you? But
well, when you're unmarried, the state doesn't have as much power, right? She can't take half. It's more of a negotiation process when you're not married. But when you're married, then they're going 100%, right? You're under whatever the marriage laws require of divorce, and you're in a situation where you stand to lose a lot more than whether if you guys are just
about the states. I'm just talking about the children. But I hear you. It's good for conversation.
The children is important. I'm not saying children are important, but let's be real. Let's keep it 100%, man. Money, you know what I mean? The people, we work hard for our money. We go out and we put all these plans together. And yes, this is for my family. I got this set up for my kids go to college. I got this set up for vacation, blah, 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 right? And all that. And in so many cases, it's getting burnt down because women are saying, hey, you know what? I don't want you no more. You're not making me happy. This is the case. Right. We have the note on that.
Let's move around to Flex Henry, then we're gonna get the first because y'all getting into the first question already. We're gonna get into it. It's gonna be a good.
Dre gotta go too, man.
Yeah.
Can you hear me clearly?
Flex Henry, then Dre. Open and
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
All right, before I get into it, I'm gonna need a little rope, but I got a message for you, Mike, because I know you putting up Kevin Samuels numbers, doing shows every single day. But every time I see you, I'm gonna tell you, take care of your health and hit the gym because we all know what happened to Kevin. We all
Hey,
know what
bro,
happened to Kevin.
you want to know something crazy? You want to know something crazy? I stepped on the scale today because if I'm not sitting here, I'm just in the car doing like activities. I stepped on the scale and I called Mayweather Fitness this morning
All
and
right,
was like, "What am?" So everybody watching, everybody on the show, every time you see me, not only am I doing that, I'm gonna do my intermittent fast. That's how I lose weight. I do the
good, good,
intermittent fasting and then I work out consistently. So I want you to
good.
hold me accountable every time you see me. Say what that scale looking like. All right, I appreciate you.
And that goes for all of us. That's for all black men. We need to take care of ourselves. I mean, we do all this hard work and don't live long enough to even use it.
It's
You know?
weird because some dude, this is intoxicating. The money go up, so you just figure, hey, life is good. I stepped on that scale and was like, you can't even see it. You can't even see a 20 pounds. You can't see it. Like it's crazy. I'm like, I can't really see it. Maybe the beard hiding it or something. But nah, that scale don't
You know
lie,
what?
bro.
You see yourself every day. It's like you don't really see your kids grow because you see them every day. But then when somebody else see them, they're like, "Oh, your kid got so big."
Yo.
You see them every day.
And then because, like I said, because you're getting better, because your lifestyle is getting better. I just saw my parents. They used to have no problem telling me I was getting puffy or fat. They ain't say nothing. I'm like, oh, they just think this is life since life is good for them now. Nah, I'm getting my ass back in that gym. I couldn't believe it. I put my hand on my head like, nah, this thing broke.
Yeah, I've been there.
They gotta be broke.
I've
Nope.
been there. But on the topic, I think that I'm gonna speak in general because I know everyone's gonna be like, their own situation. But I'm only gonna speak in general because a lot of people are just speaking from the standpoint of what they have to lose in a marriage instead of what they have to gain. First of all, if you marry a good woman, if you vet and you marry a good woman, and let's just say things don't work out, but she's an amazing mother, you're not gonna have a problem financially supporting her if she is taking care of your kids. Most black men are not going to be business owners where they're going to even need prenups to talk about assets. In general, black men are not moving like that. They're just not. Most black men are going to work jobs. They're going to retire. Hopefully they have a pension. Hopefully they have life insurance and they can make it through life and hopefully live past 65 because we can't seem to do that for whatever reason. However, you're not looking at the aspect of when you marry, you have kids, you get old. My grandfather died at 97, surrounded by all 8 of his kids. And when he went blind in his mid 80s, he was taken care of by his kids. He never had to work. He didn't have to do any of
You're
that.
bringing up the positive, but more than
I'm
likely,
I'm giving all of it. You gave the negative. You gave it.
No, but the negative
there's
is the
more
majority.
positive.
Let them get it out. We're gonna have a debate. We're gonna have a debate. Go ahead, Flex.
When he
Go ahead,
died,
Flex.
he was taken care of by his kids. They were still shaving his face. They were taking him to his doctor's appointments, feeding him dinner, bringing him food, giving him parties. Also, when you are married and black men ignore their health, that's a general fact. We ignore our health. Your wife will make sure you go to the doctor. When you feel like, you know what, I'm gonna just walk this off. See something wrong with your heart, I'm gonna walk it off. I'm gonna wait till next week and see how I feel. You might be dead next week. You might not make it to next week. But if you have a wife women, the best thing about women is that they observe patterns. And when they know when you're not right, that's how they know when you're not doing right, because they know when you're not right. They be like, oh, your voice been sounding funny the last week. Or you've been moving a little bit funny. I've been walking in the bathroom after you ain't been spelling cool. You need to go get something checked out. Whatever the case may be, your woman is like your first doctor. She's going to know when something's wrong with you, and she's going to send you to get taken care of before.
So his wife is also feeding you healthy food?
My wife cooks. I don't know what your wife is doing.
Your wife. I'm talking about most wives.
We don't know.
We
I don't know.
In our community, we know
And
that.
here y'all go getting off topic.
I thought this is not debate yet.
I was like, not yet, not yet. But we got smoke. This is like I'm really excited for this conversation.
I'm under the influence that most modern women don't even cook nowadays. So they don't even cook to even feed you bad food.
So, but even the ones that do cook, are they cooking healthy food that benefits black men's health?
The ones, I mean, listen, I don't see black men eating healthy anyways. It's not like black men want to eat clean, and women are
foundation. She's building the nest. She's supposed to make sure that the children and the men are eating healthy, correct? Because
you're a grown man. If you want your wife to make you something specific, you tell her. We're not babies out here. We're not babies.
You can dictate the menu. Trust me.
So
as a man, you can dictate the menu.
Exactly. You tell her what you want.
Okay.
But anyways, man, I got married because just like Trigger Mike, I didn't see myself having a life without having kids. Now I wasn't gonna have any kids before I got married. So in order for that to happen, I needed to get married, and I wanted to have a certain type of life. I wanted a certain lifestyle for my kids. I want what my parents have. My parents are still married today, and I see the same thing, that treatment that my grandfather got. My dad is getting that. Legacy, like Trigger Mike said, most kids that come from marriages getting, all 6 of my mother's brothers and sisters got $300,000 from my grandfather, who was married. Me and my brother will inherit because my parents are married. My kids will inherit because we are married. We are taking care of business. It is hard to be single and get to the end of life and try to leave stuff for your kids, because you will need those resources, because it's just you. It's just your retirement. It's just your pension. You still got to pay for a car. My uncle, he blew all his money, and at late 60s, he has to go out and get a job. He can't just retire. He can't just sit down and live. He was never married, and he never had any kids. And he has to go work at T-Mobile in his late 60s because he didn't do what his sister did. Now there's all.
You think he would have gotten the same result from doing the same thing that your sister did by being married? You think that he would have gotten the same positive result?
We're gonna get to this in the debate portion. Dre, what do you got? Open the thoughts.
You are selling this Disney version of marriage, sir.
Trigger Mike, I think open it up for debate, man.
I'm telling you the real life of what I've seen.
Get it out first.
We can open it up. We can just open it because
let's open it up. Fight. Yeah.
But no, let me say this to preface this. Let me say this to preface this, because before we get into an all-out blood sport about what the negative is, God, it's dark in here. Turn this light back on. All right. I gotta say, because someone said we can build the community back right without marriage. That is impossible. There is no precedent for that. I'm a statistical analysis type of guy. Hold on, WTP. This is debate time. We can go at it. There is no precedent for that. You are saying that we can build the world with a bunch of sigmas and not alphas. That's what you're saying. Sigmas are lone wolves. The lone wolf does not mean community. So let me explain that. In the new community that we're building, because we can't save this one, all right? Marriage incentivizes a man, if you didn't know. We talk about marriage, or we can have these relationships and children without marriage. Do you think a woman who is not married to a man has access to her income? Most men. No, they don't. They do not. That is a fact. Marriage incentivizes a man to use her income for whatever the hell he want to use it for. There is no way an individual can grow faster than a married couple. No way in hell. I told you, I would be on your side, WTP. I would.
There's nothing that breaks a man faster than a divorce. You can tell me that there's nothing that builds a man better than a marriage.
Won't marry,
You're absolutely correct. But nothing breaks a man.
Let me get through this. Let me get through this particular part.
All right.
Because you said we can build the community back without being married, look at the small hats, look at the Asians, look at the Caribbeans, the Hispanics, and the Africans. The people that own everything, they're not doing it as single people. These people are married. The married people own the Chinese restaurant. Their brother owns the building around the corner. All of these groups are a community bound through marriage. These are not single people doing it. There is no possible way the black community could build any community without marriage. What say you?
You're asking me?
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
That's why we
I say
fell
the
now,
very
man.
first step that we have to do before we even start talking about marriage is try to figure out how to co-parent effectively. We need to figure out where all the men who are not around there, these kids, and all the women who aren't letting these men see their kids, how as a community we can actually get fathers back into their lives. And as a community, start building a real infrastructure of co-parenting effectively. Once we do that, then we can actually start looking forward to what marriage can become. But until women start changing their temperament and how they use the power of the government after a breakup, there is no reason that a man should put his finances, life, and mentality on the line getting married.
Well, you're conflating a couple of things, though. You're conflating
my-
baby
You got to
mamarism.
get the government
whenever you
involved
want me
right
to
away.
go, I
Either.
will.
No,
No,
you
No,
don't.
hold on. Yeah, let me
Greg,
just
you
finish
trolling.
this, Kine. I'll let you go. You're conflating a couple of things. Baby mamarism and being married are not the same thing.
I didn't
Right?
say
I
they
mean, it's
were.
not the same
I'm
thing.
saying that
It's not the
I'm
same.
saying that many men have been destroyed with child
Well, hold
alienation
on.
with
Let me
women
get to that.
with
Let me get to
women
that.
that they married, and many men have been destroyed by
But
being
more men
baby
are not
fathers.
marrying these women. More men are not marrying these women. I think.
I
Let me
didn't.
get.
So
I
there is one
understand that. I'm
question I
saying
have.
that.
WTP, one question. Have you
Yes.
been married before?
No.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
And you never married that woman.
No, I didn't.
Would it be fair to say that you're jaded by that experience against marriage?
No, I'm jaded from having to hug men who've been breaking down crying from being a bartender for over 20 years. That's what I'm jaded from, by seeing the real shit that how men really feel about being married and being inside long marriages, and seeing how women really do have midlife crises that men don't really expect seeing coming. And then those women cash out in their 40s. A lot of people don't talk about that, but a lot of men who are your age, Trigger Mike, who have been in marriage also have to deal with women having their midlife crisis, and that woman ends up divorcing out of some bullshit ass reason. And then he has to deal with the brunt of it. That didn't happen to
we
me,
don't.
but I had to console men who had to deal with that.
Yeah, we
I
talk
had to
about that.
console men who've had their kids turned against them from a woman.
So we can't
because the
disagree with
sisterhood
you.
culture
No.
promotes
Yeah.
this behavior.
No, nothing you're saying is wrong. I'll tell you that. Nothing you're saying is wrong, but we're saying, is it the institution of marriage is to blame, or is it the women? I think you're blaming
No,
the wrong.
it's the government. It's the fact that if women had the same power government where they could do the same that they do in America, most women in different cultures would probably do the exact same thing. That's why I think it's smarter for, especially a man in America, to get married, if you want to get married, outside of America and to a completely different government.
Can't you just give?
It's automatic that the government completely F's you over.
Can you make a commitment
I gotta tell you
to? Can
guys,
two
I gotta
people
tell
make
you guys
a
this real
commitment
quick.
to be married
I
without the
before
government?
I say something, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Go ahead, Akina.
Yeah, I gotta say this real quick before. So, number one, going outside United States to get married. I would tell people to do that, but you have to proceed with caution, just like in the US too. The bad girls are always easy to be found before you can find the good girls, no matter where you go to. If you go to outside United States, Brazil, or anything, the bad chicks are always very visible. You're going to run across the ones that are going to need you for. They don't give a damn about you. They have men, they already have boyfriends, they've gone through life trauma. So what you need if you want to survive outside United States when it comes to marriage is this. You better not bring her here. Because if you bring her here, she's just going to be just like the one you're running away from. I got to tell you that. Because even Nigerian women, they do it here. Men will bring them here and they will do the same thing, especially these new generations. Old generation, that's a different thing. But the new generation, the internet has made women all over the world to be the same. They all learn from each other across the globe. But what I got to say is this. Marriage is a beautiful thing. If you've never been married, or if you're not from a household that has two parents, I got to tell you, you don't know the benefit of it. The benefit of being married outweigh the benefit of being single. Yes, in the United States, the government interference do destroy marriage. The reason why is because the government benefits tax-wise when a marriage is divided. Because I look around you, you find out that if every suburb or every neighborhood, most black women in those suburbs are single mothers that live in a house. Most black men live in an apartment. The government get tax revenue when houses are sold to single mothers or single women because they are the 65% of real estate consumers. So if you take away single motherhood in America, the real estate is going to drop in half. And the government is not going to realize tax system. So in order to have tax rolling into the real estate that you are not married. So you living in that apartment as a single man and you contribute towards towards her mortgage because she has your kids. But I got to tell you this. If you create a two real estate and apartment payment in a household, that is not good. What you want to do is to stay with your wife in a one house. So that way you save money. You don't want to be paying two bills, two properties, or paying for an apartment and paying for a house, either half of the house or full into the mortgage of the house. So please, if you've never been married before, you are definitely spending 150 times percentage, 150% more than what you're supposed to be spending. Because if you are married with kids, you are saving a lot of money because you're looking at two income. $150,000 or $100,000 into a household is far better than 50,000 or 75,000, and you paying half the expense. So never ever think that getting married is a bad thing. Yes, the reason why women today are taking advantage of the system is because just like yesterday conversation, men don't talk. Men don't create their own party system. Men are not electing people into Congress that are going to protect men's interests. When we start electing men into Congress, women into Congress that will protect our interests, have a serious political party, the government will listen. If you don't have a political force, if you don't have a political voice, the government is not going to listen to you. If you like cry from here to the next 100 years, they won't listen because guess what? No seat in Congress is in threat or is threatened by the black man's vote. No single seat. So black men have to threaten 100 seats in the House and at least 20 seats in the Senate for we to be listened to. And for my brother that said that marriage is a partnership, King's Park, marriage is not a partnership. Partnership means that you have a time to dissolve. If you get into a partnership with somebody in anything, is a contract signed, meaning that there will come a time when you guys are going to go apart. But when you put a ring on that woman's finger, it is everlasting considered. So it's not a partnership. Somebody has to be
That's
the
the
head.
fairy tale view, though.
I didn't
Give
say
us
a
the
Yeah.
realistic
partnership.
view.
I didn't say a partnership, but a partner. A partner in a lot of
There
different
is no
things.
partner. There is no. Once
A
you say
part, you know, it
partner,
is a
You can't
partner.
have
If I
a
there is
want a
nothing
partner
like
partner
without.
to go,
partnership and partner.
if
There
I
is
want
nothing
a
like
partner to go
partnership and
swimming
partner.
with,
Partner is
I'm going.
partnership.
But then we have a
Partner is
partnership in it.
partnership. There is
That's some
no
Just
American shit.
partner.
because, listen,
That's some
listen. What?
American shit, King Spark.
But
In,
it's
in,
but the thing is this, Kings Park. Please do not go into partnership with a woman you're gonna marry. It's not a partnership. What you're doing basically is you marry her and you give her the key to your house. She becomes the vice president. You are the president. You make the final decision. She brings the proposal. You make the decision.
that's
OG,
fact.
OG,
Partnership means that you both going to agree. And guess what? If you don't agree, nothing happens. It's
I'm,
not good for marriage.
I'm talking about when we
Somebody,
go to the pool. She my partner. I'm not talking about in major decisions. We all know in major
she's not your
decisions, and we all
partner.
know
She's
in
not.
major decision, in
Is
major
she a
decisions, I
co-owner
got the
or is she
last
a
word.
co? Is
That's
she a
period.
co? But you can't do that in partnership. Partnership is not something that you
yeah,
make
the numbers don't
major
support you.
decisions. You have to come to an agreement.
The numbers
Partnership
don't
means you have
support
to
you.
come to an
Kenneth,
agreement.
Okay,
that's
but
not the
still,
position
it's
of a man with
still,
marriage.
that still
To
would
do
be an
it.
agreement. Like I'm not. Listen, I only take. Let me tell you something. I don't take victims. I only take volunteers. Okay. So any woman that I'm with, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have an agreement about damn near everything. If she
You
doesn't see it my way, listen. If she doesn't see it my way, I will release her back into the ocean. That's it.
that is not.
But
You
we're
can't
gonna
release your
have. We're
partner.
gonna have.
You
We're
can't
gonna
release your
have. We're
partner. Your
gonna.
part. If you release a
So now
partner,
you
you
marrying the little
you
mermaid. Okay.
suffer. It's not a partnership. That means you're a dictator, not partner.
The
You get
mermaid
hung
life.
up on a word. You get hung
You're a
up on a word and keep
dictator.
hanging with
All right.
this
I
guy.
think so.
You
Yeah.
can't be a
Yeah.
partner
All
and a
right.
dictator at the same time. It doesn't
All
work.
right.
It's
Well,
like
I'm.
sweet.
Well, let me correct it. I'm a dictator.
Just now you're talking. Now you're talking.
OG.
Okay. I'm a
The
Listen,
dictator.
serpent gonna
listen.
fork
Hold
his
on.
There's a
Let
whole
me
over.
let
set of
me
problems. When
let
he
me
go
let
ahead
me
and want to have
add.
another girlfriend, and
Listen,
his
y'all.
girlfriend
This is
says, "I want another man," then
let
we'll
me
see
tell
what's
y'all
happening.
this. Yeah, let me tell y'all this. The reason because we got to stop this amongst men, where we talk about partnership like it's what women actually want.
Right.
Women don't want. They love words that make them equal to men, while not actually wanting to be equal to men. There is no person on earth more than a woman that does not want to take blame, that cannot wait to give you the full brunt of everything that comes with leadership. She does not want no parts of it, but yet you let her call herself your partner. It's something we do for them to make them feel better. Listen, as a man, all you have to do, because women think that we came up with this, all you have to do is watch women move, watch them react, watch them crumble and become hysterical and all, and you'll say, "Oh shit, I'm in charge." When stuff gets hot, when stress gets put into the situation, she can't handle it. Look at her, like literally, just look at them. When shit goes down, that's when we take. That's when the true version of a man takes shape. That's why there's no partner. Like when we, is it a partnership when there are burglars downstairs? Are we gonna put
No,
our rings together with both of these rings combined? We are a united
here's the
front. You're gonna
thing.
be sitting her ass in
No.
the corner hiding.
No. Only when
That
we
ain't
in
no
the kitchen.
partnership.
Only when we in the kitchen and we cooking. And I say, cut up them goddamn onions, and I'm a goddamn start the water boiling. I'm just we
Sugar
talking
girl,
about
let me get a
simple
piece of
shit.
mine.
Simple shit. I ain't
Throw
talking
me a
about
piece
the
of mine
most
so I know it's
extreme
you.
situation.
I
We
heard the
men,
other
we always
gentleman
gonna act
mention.
like men 24/7. But I'm just saying in the nice little parts of life, baby, break that down. I'ma roll it up. Okay? You make the
Absolutely,
drinks, I'ma
absolutely,
make the popcorn.
absolutely.
You just little
Exactly.
nice little stuff like that where
And
you
all
want
of that, and all of
somebody to
that
be there
happens.
with you for that.
All of that happens under the assumption that you are the leader. There's no other.
Okay,
There's
and
no
that's
other way
fine.
to do it.
That's
You
fine.
could be what you're describing right
That's
now
fine.
is benevolent leadership, which good men
Yeah.
strive to provide. I
Yeah,
strive to
that's it
provide
then.
benevolent leadership. This is the funny thing about it, and we need to say this on these type of shows. All right, ladies, let me try to put this in the best perspective. You are worried that if we don't call it a partnership, that we will want to lord power over you and oppress you. Men do not want to oppress you. We would have done that already. We would have stopped y'all from getting jobs. We would have stopped your pay. We would have done all of that if we wanted to. We want to love you and lead benevolently. We want everything for you that you want for yourself. You want to go to school, do that. Be the best you can be. You want to get a job and go after that new degree, do that. Be the best you can be. Under the assumption that when all this shit breaks down, sit your ass right there and let me take charge. That's it. That's
That's
it.
where we made our mistake.
But Mike,
That is
I
it.
heard the other gentleman speak on happiness, and I think a lot of people get it confused about marriages that you have to always be happy. Marriages aren't about being happy. There's going to be periods where you're going to be ecstatic. There'll be periods where you'll be depressed. There'll be periods where you'll just be smooth and you just be cruising. And there's periods where you're mad as hell. There's periods where you're gonna spend a couple months in the doghouse because you done messed up. I
But
mean,
not
that's all
most.
Doghouse.
part of life. I don't think you
You got a
can
doghouse?
say, hmm?
You got a doghouse?
Yeah, yeah,
You
got
said we ain't
yeah.
no boss.
Hey,
We ain't no boss.
I have to say this. I have to say this. This is truly an American thing. First off, if you let your wife put you out of a house that you pay for, I don't got nothing to say for you, man. If you let your wife put you out of a bed that you pay
No,
for,
it's
I have
not. No,
nothing.
it's
I
not.
do.
It's
No, no,
not
not
that
you,
type of
man.
doghouse.
not you, Flex. I'm talking about this is an American thing in general. Talk about
That's TV though, Mike. That's TV.
You need to go sleep on the
That's
couch.
TV.
Well, if you need space, you go sleep on the goddamn couch. Like, I've never in my life seen any other man but an American man move out of his own space.
That's TV though, Mike. That's
what
TV.
the hell?
That's TV. Ain't no damn way a woman kicking me out of the house that I
or
pay
you
my
go
money.
you go on the couch. What the hell wrong with you?
Yeah, when I say doghouse, it just means that you're not allowed in a different type.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just saying the general point. Shit girls, welcome. What you got on it?
Are we answering the question, why did I get married? Are we still in that part?
Yeah, we're still doing opening thoughts.
Okay, so I'm on my second marriage, actually. And my first marriage, I was married for about 16 and a half years. Well, I got married the first time, I was like 19. And I always felt like marriage was where I felt complete. It was having the role of a wife, serving my husband. It just felt like it was natural. I went from my parents' home into my husband's home. So I never lived on my own. I don't know what that's like. But unfortunately, that marriage ended. And then I was single for some time and decided to get married again because it just didn't feel right. It felt like I was missing something. I actually find joy in serving my husband. It's something I think about on a daily basis. Like, what can I do for him? How can I make things easier for him? You know, what is his favorite gift? What can I get him this week? You know, did I rub his feet? Did I massage his feet this week? You know, those things get me excited. I also saw the need for balance. I saw as a single woman after divorce, I felt spiritually, emotionally, mentally unregulated, if that makes sense. Like, I really do think that men regulate women in a really healthy way, a good man. And I saw the effects on myself. I saw the effects on my daughters, like not having that head in the house, that man, that disciplinary, that person to keep everyone in line. It was just like, wow, like, I don't want my girls growing up like this, you know? So I kept praying about it. And of course, I can't force a man to do anything, but I just waited patiently on God. And my husband now is just amazing. It's more than what I ever asked for or dreamed of. So those are the reasons why I got married, and I will continue to stay in my marriage.
All right. I mean, damn. Fellas, I don't know what to say, but Sugar Curl, if you got any friends or, you know, anybody that behaves just like you, these dudes would like to know where we can find them. Well, not me, but, you know, I got frat brothers. I got other brothers. They out here struggling. They're about to become passport brothers if I don't get something for them.
And especially the other guy that bailed.
I was gonna say the same thing.
WTP, you in the chat or what? You were out here. No, we didn't get on his nerves because he could hold his own. WTP, bring your ass back up here.
That's right. We need him back up here, man. I swear.
Yeah. All right, that's what's up. Let me get into the first question. Let me get to these super chats that we got first. My man AP, we appreciate that. $10 just for stopping by for a second. Much respect, TM. Keep cooking every day. Thank you, my brother. That's my guy right there. Rodney E, $5. Absolutely not a partnership. Sounds like a guy that's married. We should listen to him, King Spark. Semantics.
It's a matter of semantics of the wordplay, man. It don't matter. Everybody know me, man. When y'all get to know me and y'all come by me, y'all gonna see what time it is. I gonna see how my life go. Y'all see.
All right, so for those of y'all just tuning in, welcome to the Trigger Mike Show on the Lapeef Network. Get those likes up. We only got 76 likes and 168 people watching. I need 100 likes right now. Some of y'all are notorious. Hit that like button right now. Go all the way up to 100. We ask questions on this show and we let the panelists give the answers. If you would like to support, give your answer to the question in the form of super chat. We always appreciate that. So we're going to get to the first question. Coco, I see you in the back. Throw me a 3. Throw me a 3 so I know it's you. And, all right, bet.
Trigger Mike. Sorry, Trigger. Sorry, Mike. Can I just ask something? I know we're getting caught up in this whole notion of marriage being potentially a partnership. But do you believe that partnerships exist? So marriages are in fact partnerships.
Yes. I think a lot of these celebrity marriages are business contracts, like partnerships. Literally, this is what I can do for you and your profile. This is what you can do for me and my profile. But that is another method of contractual agreement between two people, which no one person holds more power than the other. In a natural
Mike. I think Coco said that she doesn't want to come up here because she's eating.
Oh, okay. My bad. WTP. Let me get a 4. No, that's a Crip sign. All right, there you go.
I also wanted to clarify the fact that what we seem to be discussing is the different forms of marriages, and we've got to understand that the framework of marriage is completely different to what it was 50, 100 years ago. So you cannot.
Ooh, Dre, the framework is
yes,
never changing. It's the people.
Let that man paint his portrait.
Maybe the people, but not the framework of a functional marriage.
Let him finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
When you look at in the old days, marriage used to be a union between two families coming together to build a legacy. So the Joneses and the Simpsons come together, right? It's a union of two families. Marriage in the current form is very different. And I kind of agree with WTP Plunk that the involvement of the legal system has undermined the framework of marriage, because any man seeking to engage in that contractual agreement need to keep their eyes very open and understand that the litmus test is very different to what it was 50, 100 years ago.
All right, Dre, bro, this is my pushback. This is a problem for black and white people in the U.S. This is not a problem for people who know how to do this institution correctly. I do understand what you're saying when you say that the way it used to be done is basically marriage was basically a community-led thing. Yesterday we were talking about with Coco where they say our wife because it's a community-led thing. There is no way you get married and create a family without also joining another family. There's no way. Right? So that's the way the institution is supposed to be carried out. So it's not necessarily the institution or framework of marriage. It's the people fucking it up. It's not marriage. Right. That's my ultimate point. It's not the institution itself. It's the people. Now, remember, everybody that does it correctly, they benefit. And the worst part about it, and when we keep talking about the government, y'all, we can't forget, the government isn't involved until you try to break the contract. So find somebody that won't, break the contract.
No. Mike, the government is involved. You just have to mitigate their involvement, and they were involved before.
That's fair.
Anytime you got married legally, the government has always been involved. It's how it's being exercised now that's different.
Mr. Payne, how's the government involved on a day-to-day basis?
This is how the government
on a day-to-day basis, Mr. Payne. How's the government involved?
If you get married with a legal contract, the government's automatically involved. You get married based on the laws of the state.
I said on
Mr.
a day-to-day basis.
Let me interject. I'm sorry, Spark. Let me interject. The government is not involved until you call the government. The woman calls the government.
No. Stop. You got to get a marriage license to be married.
Yeah,
no. I'm talking about when it comes to the fight and the nastiness.
You're talking about a divorce. I'm talking about marriage. The government is involved from Jump Street. The government is involved because you got to have a marriage license if you're going to get married in the state that you're going to get married.
Mr. Payne, what's the difference?
That's a separate thing. That's a separate thing altogether. Because government is a license that you legally married in that country. It's a license that No. Even in America, every country, either verbal, like let me put it this way. Real quick. If you come to Nigeria, we have a marriage process, right? Which is called traditional marriage.
Okay.
Marriage process in Nigeria is established with the kola nut. When you take that kola nut and present it to the father of the girl,
Okay.
and the father of the girl breaks that kola nut, is a symbol that the tradition has recognized the license. You see what I'm saying? That is the license being issued to the husband that, yes, you've married the girl. Every government, every tradition must be involved in marriage
So
from the
I don't
very
see where
day
you're
God
saying I'm not.
created this world.
Where I say that that's not true. In the United States of America, back then and now, if you want to get married, you got to get a license in the
You
state that
must
you're married.
in every country. You must.
Hold on,
Yeah.
that's one. And
Mhm.
two, regardless of the time period, it's the bringing together of two families, whether
That's
you
right.
recognize it or not. Whether you
It is.
recognize it or
It
not,
is.
one
But but
family is getting
but
together with another family.
but but
Wait a minute.
this is
Wait,
this
wait
is.
a
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All I'm just trying to say is all the stuff that's happening now has nothing to do with those two traditions. It's how people react to them and how people are acting in the new climate. And that's a choice. Right?
But
When I
guess.
got married, when I got married to my wife, okay, I'm a baby boomer, but it was not that long ago, right? A lot of people were still alive.
Yeah, about
My
100 years.
family and her family linked up and we got married. Me and the wife had to go down and get a marriage license from New Jersey to get married. And the
Yeah.
fact is, the state was involved in our marriage, but it wasn't intrusive because we don't have no issues.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's the bottom line.
Trigger Mike said it was 100 years ago that you got married. I don't know why he's.
And also, can I just say,
But guess what, Mr. Payne? Mr.
Go
Payne,
ahead.
check this out, right? The reason why there is lapse right now in marriage is because 40 years ago, 50 years ago,
Oh, Jesus.
there are a lot of process that a man has to go through for him to get a wife. It- so most men, a lot of men were not qualified because of the investigation, the process of going through that. So men were being denied women because they don't have good record to marry that woman. So those men, in order to stop that from happening, rebelled. So what they did is to take away that process. Now screwed up men marrying screwed up women. You see what happened, right? But before, screwed up
No,
men and screwed up men and women couldn't get married because they have to change their attitude. They have to change their behavior and they have to get married early.
You're
But in order to
taking
stop,
a butter knife and trying to cut some shit, man. There was screwed up people back then, and there's
no, no,
screwed
no,
up
no,
people
no,
right
there
now.
was,
All,
but
all I'm
yes,
just
there
trying to
was.
say is the difference is that I went to my father-in-law and asked for permission to marry my wife, right? And today, guys don't do that, but this
because there's no
process is the
father.
That's what I'm
same.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
But
Those
but there
guys
was
don't
guys
want to
back
do
then who
that
didn't do
anymore.
that.
Can I ask
John,
can I ask a quick question?
hold on real quick. John the Baptist, come on, Cam, real quick, so I can get the panel
Go
loaded
ahead,
up.
go ahead.
Give me a peace sign, big dog.
Which process is the government not involved in when you are born? Which process is the government doesn't have a hand in? When you are born, you have a birth certificate. When
Breathing,
you are born,
breathing.
I'm talking. So,
No, so we can't get derailed on the government side. What I'm talking about is
Right.
government control. What it is, we're talking about the technical part. Y'all are talking about the technical part of government record. The government does not tell me how to raise my children at the beginning
That's
yeah.
of.
right.
But
That's
my
what I'm talking
Exactly.
about.
but my
That's the
point
point
is,
I'm
We
making.
shouldn't
They
bring
don't
the
tell you what
government
time
into
you need
this.
to come
They
my
don't
home.
tell
They
me
don't
what
tell
visitation
you how to
is.
treat your
That's
wife.
all.
They
That's
don't
what I
tell
mean when
you
I'm
none
saying
of that
I
government.
shit.
agree with that too.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
the only point I'm bringing is that when people talk about legal and the government being in your marriage, as if the government is not into how you make money if you're making it legally, as in the government is not into keeping
Everything
record
we
on
do.
you as far as
When
all of that
everything.
is part of the process of us being citizens of this country. Or if you live in another country, there's another process where the government takes track of you. All this legal, all this contract, we are in a contract with the government once we are born, and we want to operate a certain way in this life, unless you live off the grid. So that I think sometimes that is made an issue to detract from what is
A real point.
where the main concerns people have with marriage. So let's address that instead of, because when you want to, if you talk about the government, you got to talk about the government in all facets of your life, not just one where a majority of people aren't even getting married.
Thank
Okay,
you, Coco.
let's address that.
The
Do you
main
think?
problem with
Wait,
marriage
1
is
second.
that.
Let's
Go
address
ahead,
that thing.
go ahead,
But
bro.
she has a point. But the thing is, it won't change until women start having the penalties of divorce as well. And this is going to happen when women start being allowed to marry other women. When this happens, and there has to be a loser in the divorce, then women will kind of understand, like, okay, maybe these laws need to be changed. But unfortunately, you speaking about how the government is in our lives, men, we involve a government once we get married to a woman. And now that government has a complete different autonomy of affecting our lives if that woman changes her mind and doesn't want to be with us. If in your case, if you marry a man, a government doesn't have autonomy to destroy you, or it does, but it doesn't. It won't destroy a woman the way that it destroys the majority of men. So that's the point.
So,
You
okay.
know what?
Why is the
agree
outlook
with
so
you.
pessimistic?
But we're also
What about
Thank you.
being married and staying together? What happened about that shit? Why can't we
Wait,
just
and keep back to your point. To your
make an
point.
agreement?
But King Spark, King Spark, it's not about, it's when the woman decides to leave. It's not the man being pessimistic. It's actually what happens in reality. Women actually leave 80% of the time, according to the stats that y'all put out. So women leave 80% of the time. It's not being pessimistic. It's being looking at the reality of what it is.
Wait,
Let me ask you. Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question real quick.
Yes.
You talked about off the grid for a second. Could you marry somebody off the grid? Could you
Yes,
get
you
married
can.
off the grid?
Are you asking me?
Yes, you can.
I'm asking any damn body.
Yes.
Can you
Yes,
marry
yes, you
somebody
can.
off the
Yes, you
grid?
can.
Not in a traditional
Right?
marriage, not an
Yes, you
illegal
can.
But oh wait,
Yeah.
hold
state-rise
this.
marriage.
Well,
You can't do it off the grid.
I heard what you said, right? But what I'm saying is, can you really be married off the grid?
Yes.
If
Can
you
you
Yes,
go
go
you
get a
to
can.
lake
marriage,
house?
What
Can
do you
you
mean?
go?
What do you
Can
mean
you?
off? What do you mean off the grid?
I
Clarify
mean,
off the grid.
without somebody's it without
no,
somebody's uh basically
no,
without somebody being in your business. Why not?
no.
Hey,
Why
Johnny,
not?
Johnny,
Listen,
What do you mean by
unless you're
in your
gonna, if you're
business?
gonna
What do
define
you mean,
marriage,
King
if you're gonna
Spark? What do you
define
mean by
Why?
in
marriage,
your
It wants to
business?
be a marriage of
all right,
family.
one
if you're
mic,
gonna
one mic.
define
What
the
I'm
whole
saying,
marriage,
what I'm
you
saying,
can.
what
But if
I'm
it's a
saying.
marriage that's legal from the state, no, you can't.
This is what I'm saying. Okay, this is what I'm saying though, right? So if I go get a lake house, if I go get a house in the woods with my lady or ladies, right?
Right?
And we live there as married, I make a commitment to her A B C D E F G. She make a commitment to me A B C D E F G. I go spend 5,000 on the ring, blah 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 blah, and we out there hunting and married and fishing and married every day. How are
Do
you
that.
more goddamn married than me?
So my thing to answer your
What's more?
question, to answer your
Who's more
question,
married?
to answer your question, you could do that, right? But at the time of your death, if you precede her in death, you better make sure your contract, that your whatever you have written, whatever you own, is written in such a way that no one can touch it but her.
You don't need paperwork.
And you can
Correct, correct.
have that kind of
Yes, you
paperwork
can. Yes, you can.
outside of
Okay,
the
so you're
traditional
defining your
marriage
own
King Spark.
marriage.
paperwork.
King Spark.
I
That's
agree
what
with
King
your
you.
Spark.
ass need
King
to do
Spark.
I
if you
agree with
want to
you.
have a
King Spark.
Listen,
King
change
Spark.
in this
listen,
thing.
it's like gay
King Spark.
people
Let me
who
let me
stole
lay it
the
to let me lay it to
rainbow
you like
and
this.
stole the
This
word
this
gay.
way,
You
King
can
Spark.
redefine it any way you want. Every individual could define marriage. The way marriage is defined in the country is when it's legal through the state. That's it. But you could call your thing a marriage, but now we're just taking the definition and changing it. I remember when gay used to mean happy. Now it means, broken wrist. Or a rainbow, everybody can share. Now we can't even share the goddamn rainbow no more. Right? So the point is people can redefine things all they want to do. You could call that a marriage, but it works for you, not for a general amount of people. Right?
I'm just
No,
So
no.
saying the
Okay, so
functionality
so
of
no,
it is no different.
that's actually inaccurate, because marriage in the government state, it's only been that's actually older than what King Spark was talking about. So marriage can always include government. That's like a new thing.
that's just
No,
sad.
no,
That's
no, no.
incorrect.
John,
It's
John
not
the
new.
Baptist,
That's incorrect.
King Spark, check this out,
Not
right?
new.
Marriage, you can marry it off the grid as long as there is a witness. All you need is a
Correct.
witness. That's it. One witness. You can marry off the grid. You don't need any paperwork. You don't need
You
any
don't.
signature. You just need a witness. And then number two, the only place where you're going to need a government. You said something about building a house together and building a house for you and your woman. You have to buy that property or it's will to you. But when you buy the property, right, you need a government if you purchase the property. But if it's will to you through government family inheritance, yes, you don't need a government because it's already established land that doesn't belong to the government. Or a third party is still under your family name. Yes, you can build. But what happens is this: she cannot divorce you because she doesn't have a paperwork. She can leave your house, but she's going to be to her own detriment if she leaves, you see, because there was no government paperwork.
Don't
There you
that
go.
sound
But
a lot better?
no. But this is what we're saying, right? This is why we said if you get into marriage with the idea of somebody else leaving the marriage without anything,
You can't even get the
subconsciously, it's not a good thing.
you
And let
can't
me
even
I
tell
get
don't
you,
the
like alimony. I don't like alimony. Child support to me is okay because it's for the child. For the woman, I think if you get into a house and you want to leave the house because you feel like living, I don't think you should get anything.
Hey E,
But
hey
if
E,
you're
for example though
living,
E, hey E, let me
but if
cover point.
but
You
if
just
you're
made a good
living,
point. You
but
just
if
made
you're
a good
living
point.
with
You
yeah
just made a
yeah
good point. I want you to address this for a second though. If she leaves with the child, how? I mean, why should she get child support? Because in
no.
Eastern
I said
culture,
if she leave the marriage, not the child. I said if she leave the marriage for no abusive reason, right? Just living the
correct,
marriage the way
correct,
she
correct,
feels, she shouldn't get anything.
correct. What I'm saying though,
Those are my friends.
if she leaves the marriage and try to take the kid, why should she get child support? The kid should stay with the man.
You see, this is where family get destroyed in America.
No,
But
no, I'm
why are
The
we
asking you a
woman,
talking
the
about
question.
woman. No,
marriage?
no, no,
I'm
no, no, no,
asking
no.
you.
Why are
No,
we
I'm asking
talking
you a
about
question.
marriage from back to front?
I'm
Why don't we
answering you
talk
right
about
now.
marriage about
No,
what
Okay,
it
no.
okay.
takes
I'm
to
sorry. Go
stay
ahead. Go
in
ahead.
a
Go ahead. Go ahead.
marriage?
Kingsback, hold on.
Why are
Go
we
ahead.
I'm
talking
answering you
Go
about
right
ahead.
this
now.
marriage
The
about the end of
moment,
marriage?
a moment like I will use Nigerian culture to insert into the U.S. culture. Okay, when a child is 5 years between the age of 1 hour to 5 years, right? It's
Uh huh.
always very, very vital that the child is with the mother.
Okay.
But after that, if the woman leaves the house, it's very vital that the woman leaves the child with the man. The
Correct. I
reason
agree with
why it's
that.
good, the reason why it's good for that is because the men are tend to be more stable financially than women. You see, but at the
unless
same
she's
time,
55.
you as a man, it's not good for you to be raising kids by yourself because you still have to go and kill
Work.
the
thank
meat.
you.
You still have to
Okay,
bring the bacon home.
I
So
have
that
another
is why
question.
it doesn't benefit either way. For a
I got a
woman living a
question.
family is bad. A
King
I
Spark,
got a
man raising
question
the
for the
child
whole panel.
himself is
King
very
Quick
Spark,
bad.
before
question.
you ask your question, can I
I
just
just
make
got
a
one question. Go ahead, as long as I can ask the question after
yeah,
you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Because people keep on talking about the end, divorce, divorce. We're not even talking about marriage. Y'all are talking about divorce. But since you want to play that game, how many people? And King Spark, you own your own business, correct?
I do.
Yes. So how many people after 10 years still run their business? What percentage did you say?
You said after 10 years?
Yes. Or we can
Um,
say three, we can say five, we can say 10.
Most businesses fail in the first year.
Thank you. So but do most men, or not even just men, because women want to be entrepreneurs as well. Do most people go into the attitude knowing that at about 10 years there's maybe a 3% success rate for you to still have your business and your business to be successful? Do people go in saying, well, I know most likely I'm gonna fail, but I'm
me and
still
we never discussed it. We'll be 2 years. We'll be 2 years in August,
no, I'm
growing
not talking
every
about you.
quarter.
I'm just
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying the outlook, right? Two
yeah.
years in August, growing every quarter. We did not start this shit talking about what happens when the shit is over.
Thank
Like, I don't
you. That's the
understand why
point.
is that the focus when people start talking
Because
about marriage. The first
most men
thing,
do
the
that.
The
first
name of the
thing,
show
the
Most
is
first.
what?
Listen.
most
My
men do
question
that
is,
because of the horror of the internet
I
and what they're
understand that.
seeing.
I
But
And
not,
this
understand
is
that.
what most
not,
Mr.
men do,
not
Banks.
from
my
an
But
PA.
listen to
investment
the
This happened
question.
to
Listen
our
to the
uncles.
question.
This happened to our
Why
happened to
is not
family
the
members that we've
question?
seen. It's happened to friends. It is not like
Hold on,
something that's made up
WPP.
on the big
Let
boogie
me make
internet.
this question. Right? I
You're
understand
still
that.
not
I
addressing my
understand
question.
what
Go ahead.
happens. Okay. The question is this: if we're gonna have a discussion about marriage, right?
Mhm.
Why are we not going to focus on what you need to sustain a marriage, what you need to
I agree
have a
with you.
healthy marriage? Why
I
don't
agree
we
with you.
talk about all of that shit first and
I
then
agree with
talk
you
about
100%.
if a
Dude,
motherfucker leave
dude,
you
that's what
and
we're
then if he
talking
Know
pay
what
about.
this and
marriage
all
If
that
is.
you
shit.
take
All
if you
right,
Let's
take
one
talk
away
mic,
the
about
one
what
mic.
it takes.
incentives, if you
Let's
take away
talk
the
about what it
incentives of
takes.
divorce, then that's
No, no,
going
no,
to
no, no.
lead
See,
to
you still
no, no,
jumping
no,
to
no, no, no,
divorce.
no. Hold up, y'all been
So
talking
that's
for
not
a
the
minute. Give
question.
me a second.
The question is,
And
you
I
still
swear my
jumping to
bartender, I'll wrap
divorce.
this up in like 45 seconds if you just give me 45 seconds. Thank you.
He's a
Now,
bartender. He can go that fast.
I promise you,
Sorry,
in a
boss.
minute.
Sorry,
Go
boss.
ahead, go ahead, go
Now,
ahead.
over here in the EU, for example, to divorce, it's a 2-year process and it costs a boatload of money. What that does is it incentivizes people who are married to figure that shit out, or it's a complete like I can't do this anymore. There's no, then let's divorce. In America, it is the culture to divorce. It is a party to divorce. Now, in
It's not a
Christianity, hey, I have
party.
nothing against Christianity. It's the Christians who practice it wrong. I have nothing. That's what my Native American grandfather said. He has nothing against Christianity. It's just the Christians who did it. The same thing with marriage and how everyone preaches and what it's supposed to be. Yes, in theory, it sounds great, but how they actually divvy it out and how it's actually affecting people, it's not what it's signed up to be. It's supposed to be I'm with this person for the rest of my life, and I can just build, and she's going to build my nest, and that's what it is. It's supposed to be me
First of
as a
all, that
man. I
hasn't
can give all
changed.
my money to
See,
the
Let him
woman.
finish, bro. Let him finish.
I promise you, I'm quick. It's supposed to be
well, you
as a
said it
man.
was
I can give
45
this
seconds.
woman all my money, and she's going to build my nest, and I'm going to come home, and I'm going to see my nest being built, and I love her for that. I see how she's raising these kids. She's probably supposed to be homeschooling these kids and not letting the government put their little bullshit all over my kids. But that's not the culture of marriage anymore, because people are not trying to be wives and men are not trying to be husbands. The culture of marriage is let's just get married, and then it's like a
Depends the
5-year
culture
countdown
that
to a
you're
breakup.
in.
That is
It
not
depends
Well, why
on
changing.
the
don't
That is
culture
literally
that
our
you're in.
culture. Do you think what
why
in our
don't you
culture?
talk
That
about
doesn't
this?
change his point. That doesn't change his point. I mean, where he is irrelevant.
I gotta tell you guys what WT is talking can never be neglected. He is making a lot of points. Mr. Wayne, you are mute. W2,
Put my
what you
mic on.
saying is
Let me get mine in.
And
First
none
of
of the
all,
points are helping us with being married.
we gotta bound marriage to America, not Africa, not all this other shit, right? We're in America. So we gotta bound what we
oh,
mean by
that's a big
marriage in this
mistake,
country so
Mr.
we can have a
Wayne. That's a
discussion.
big
So
mistake.
we
The
could have a
word is
discussion
interconnected.
because
The
we're
word
talking
is
about how is
disconnected.
it in this tradition? Just we're in the United States of America. Marriage, you
Yeah.
need a license, and you have a partner or a girlfriend or what the hell you ask her to get married. She has to agree, and it brings two families together, whether you know it or not. And you have to have a license to be married. Now we
Do
can
you think
jump
it's a
to the
benefit to get married
divorce,
in a
like a lot of
capitalistic system?
well, you
You
had
gotta
just said
have a license to drive too.
And
divorce.
really, you
All
don't
Do
right,
you
know
think it's
what the
better to
I
be
benefit
gotta,
is
married
I
in a
gotta,
capitalistic system or a different
I
government?
gotta, I gotta
But
ask a
all I'm just
question.
trying to say is, you guys are talking about, yeah, and it's King Spark. You said it right. If we're going to talk about marriage, what's the benefits of marriage, right? Just cases for marriage, whether people want to stay by that covenant or not, is an individualistic thing. And unfortunately, marriage is broke down because people have broken down, not because marriage is broken down. The new generations are broken for all kinds of reasons, and that's why the marriages don't work, right? I mean, the kids are entitled. Just we got single baby and fatherless households. We got no real role models for the children. We got celebrities getting pregnant, talking about get pregnant so we can get rid of acne and shit like that. I mean, we got naked women who are by their husbands parading around and saying this is empowerment and shit like that. That all impacts people getting together. Now, I said this before. Every single man who wants to get married, whether you have assets or not, you can get a prenup just like any other damn insurance policy. And even if you don't have any assets, you know what you can write out of a prenup? Alimony. You can say, we could agree that if we break up, you don't get shit from me. And if a woman says that, that protects you from alimony. If you have children in the marriage, the prenup doesn't cover children, the state does. And if you have kids that's yours, you shouldn't argue about giving money to take care of your children and your goddamn children.
Bullshit.
That's
It's
right.
different
That's right.
in every single state. In California, you get completely ruined versus you get having children in Missouri. No, you can't say it just as a man. You should just no. Let's be realistic. Do you know what child support?
I don't understand the narrative that we have going here, so I'm going to ask a question. We got 19 different conversations going on. I lost. This is my show, and I'm lost. I don't know how we got here.
It's your fault then.
All right,
They changed
so we're
the
gonna
question.
go. Damn, King Spark made a good point at the beginning, or not even a good point. It was just a point. Sorry, King Spark. But I want to know, and you going first. Is monogamy necessary in marriages?
Well, it's not for me. And since we're gonna go down there through it, and this is why I differ from a lot of men on the earth. Is when I met my woman, I told her about the third date, you'll never be the only one. And she was like,
third day or third date?
Third date.
Gotcha.
So you'll never be the only one. Her jaw dropped, whatever. And I said, I'm just letting you know. I'm not saying, and this, I know we're going to go into this rabbit hole of extremes because you said that you would have sex with another woman means that you out here chasing tail every day. And that's all you do is chase tail day in and day out. Hell no. I just told her that, hey, if down the line you find out that I have sex with a woman and it's going to break your goddamn heart, you should probably leave now because that shit's probably going to happen.
I mean,
Trigger Mike, I don't want us to get lost on something. When you say monogamy, are you talking about monogamy and polygamy, or are you talking about monogamy and going outside to go club chicks? So I got to
I'm talking about monogamy within marriage is just one woman being married to just one woman. That's
I know what monogamy is, but what I'm saying
monogamy,
is this.
I'm sorry, monogamy and not just basically what King Spark said, not entertaining any other woman seriously while married to another.
Okay, my take on that is this.
We gotta go around the
because
horn.
I'm always going to speak based on culture.
You should know, Mr. Ika, that you cannot cut off Mr. Rich.
Each order, right? We go around the horn.
Go ahead, Mr. Rich.
I mean, are you finished, King Spark? I don't know if you were finished.
Yeah, no, I was not. I was just saying that I don't believe it's feasible for me. I cannot speak to all of the regular goody two-shoe Christian mugs that they don't see nothing but their wife. But I love y'all. But I love y'all.
That is all we actually are asking dudes to do, because dudes aren't being truthful. Like,
well, wait a minute. Let's not put it on the dudes. I have a question for King Spark. You got a woman. Can she come to you? Can she come to you and say, "Listen, man, I want to get my cheeks busted by somebody else from time to time"? How does that go?
No, because that's not. No, because this is I asked her that. No, and I asked her that in the beginning.
Okay.
I said, "Do you want different dick? Yes or no? Are you going to be able to maintain this?
I mean,
yes or no?
Different dick now.
That's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you. Would you accept her getting her cheeks busted?
No, because I'm not changing off what if I say. I'm telling her that's not what it is in the beginning. So hell no.
Oh no,
if you gonna fuck her, you better take care of her. She belong to you, sir.
Can I ask
listen, I hear you. I just wanted to get that part out of it.
Right? So if her answer was affirmative, yes, what would you have done?
Were you asking him or me or him?
King Spark.
If she said yes,
yeah,
I bid you a good life, man.
There you go.
I bid you a
That's
good life.
I appreciate the honesty because
I
that's
bid
how
you a
most
good
people
life.
feel. I'm not with that either. That whole thing does not work in reverse. It does not, especially if you're willing to be honest about it. I'm not
But
nobody.
I think the fact that the you know you posed the question is very concerning for a woman, asking her that, you know, are you open to taking different dicks? It's very difficult to reconcile that with somebody that you want to marry.
Yeah.
Well, listen. The reason why I asked her that
Yeah.
question is because there was a time in my life where I had met a woman and I was talking to her, and she told me flat out, "I like different dick." And I said, "Oh shit.
We're gonna have a
Okay.
discussion about the
I'm
women you
gonna have
fraternize.
to. I'm gonna have to move around on you." But that's how a woman posed it to me. I didn't even know that statement was a thing until I heard a woman tell me that. So that's why I put it in my pocket and I said, well, if I run into a woman I'm going to be serious with, I'm going to ask her, I'm going to formulate what a woman told me into a question and pose it as a question to my woman. So that's the only reason why it became a question for me.
Hmm. All right,
Is
Mr.
it fine
Rich.
for your woman to be with other women?
I'm
Say that
done.
again.
I just wanted to ask. I mean,
Is it fine for your woman
monogamy
to be with other
for me
women?
is necessary in my marriage, right?
Absolutely.
I'm
Okay.
not.
Wait.
It goes both
Absolutely.
ways for me and the wife. So that's all I have to say. I think it's
Yeah,
necessary.
it's fair, Dre. It's listen.
Well,
This is the
my
thing
thing
we
is,
had.
wait, give me a
Look,
second.
it's look. Hold on, we gotta
Why
say
is
this
it
one
fine
thing.
for
One
a
thing.
woman to be with other women when they use all types of toys and all types of strap-ons, but it's not okay for her to be with another man?
Listen,
No,
brother.
no,
I'm gonna
just
tell
break
you
that. No,
why.
just break
I'm
that
gonna
down
break it
for me.
down to you. First of all women don't like toys being used on them. That's number
I
one.
That's
oh,
true.
Okay, number
let's
two.
stop. Shit, you don't know. I
We
know some
Let him
bisexual women,
finish.
and what
Let
the
him
I
finish.
think we're going line
listen.
by line, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
have the
There
conversation.
you go. There you go. There's my
Wait.
man.
Why is it okay
We're
for
gonna change his
women
name
to do
to
this
what
with
the
other
cutoff.
women, but you have a
Hey,
problem
listen.
with
You know
another
what?
man
Hey,
doing it?
WT. Let me tell you. My wife, if she has toys, I said, let me just include my ass in that shit, man. Let me play with them with you. I
But
mean, you
women
know what?
play with
You
women
know what?
better
Hey,
with their
I
toys.
named her
We are
thing,
not to the
whatever
same
the name
level
is.
of playing with their toys the way that women understand their own bodies. That's why I think in the future, most of our women are going to be damn near bisexual because the way
Like
that
not
Oh,
women
pushing it.
understand these toys, they
they're
can.
halfway there anyway. Most women are halfway there anyway. But
Okay, so my thing is this. Men always say like, well, it's different if a man sleeps with my woman. So, but then they have no problem with their women sleeping with other women and
yeah,
having the
because the
same type of
dynamics of
soul
sex
ties, the
with
same
men
type of
and women
sexual
are different,
energies.
brother.
So, what's the
The
difference?
dynamics of men and women having sex is different. A
Do
guy
you know
pile
that?
driving your woman is a
Wait, wait,
whole
wait, wait,
bunch
wait,
different
wait,
than
wait,
her
wait,
playing with a
wait. How?
vibrator.
Wait, sir. How do you know that it's different?
Because I'm a man.
No,
And, when I'm having sex with a
do
woman,
you
the
know what
energy
women
I
do when they
transfer
have
is a whole
sex?
lot different.
Not from porn. Do you know what women do when they're having sex? Have you seen two
Yeah,
women
I'm
have
normally
sex?
Yeah,
there. I'm there a
yeah, wait
lot.
a minute. Yeah.
I'm there.
Okay, I'm saying this that
Right there.
it's hypocritical for men to be like, well, I want to make sure I want to go do things on the side, but she can't
Give
do
me a
anything.
three.
That's hypocritical. That's bad alchemy.
Yeah,
And my
life
thing is also, if you say,
okay.
hypocritical.
well,
I
a woman can
guess
do it with women but not
only three
men,
people are
then
making
I'm
this
saying you're
conversation.
stupid.
But guess what? I got to throw my heart
Yeah,
into this
life
Mr.
ain't
conversation.
Williams, give
fair.
me a three
Life
symbol.
Okay,
ain't
Give me a
fair,
guys,
three.
WTP.
check this out, right?
Life ain't
The
fair.
world is unfair. The world is always unfair.
Life
WT,
ain't fair,
the world is
homeboy.
fair. So I got to be honest with you, WT. You might be sympathetic to women in that regard, but I got to tell you, when polygamy was created, it was created for men. Polyamorous must have been created by women in the last few years, but it's not accepted because they can't even sustain it themselves. You One thing I don't like when it comes to men stepping out of their women is this. You have to have that conversation with her. You see what I'm saying? You have to conversate with her and converse with her and let her know that hey, this is what you want to do and it's always been in you to do it. Is she gonna be okay with that? Because if you have five women 3 are going to say yes, they're okay with it. The very first conversation. But guess what?
Dude,
Down the road,
most
2
men
out
don't
of
want that
no,
type
I'm
of
coming,
look. They
I'm
want to
coming,
have
I'm
a
coming,
wife
I'm
and maybe have
coming,
something
I'm
on the side.
coming,
Most
bro.
men don't
Sorry
want
about that.
5
Can you
wives.
please
Let
allow me
me
to
Most
ask
let
men
my
me
want 2
question?
talk.
wives.
That way
Hey,
you
go
see where
ahead,
I'm heading
finish
to.
up. Mr. Ekene,
I'm
finish up.
gonna I'm just wait. So out of 5 women, 3 are gonna be okay with it the very first day. 2 are gonna be like bye. 5 years down the road, 2 are gonna fall out. Only one might be okay with it the rest of our life because women change their mind like they change clothes. You see, that's where the problem is gonna arise. But when it comes to polygamy, I always tell guys this. You have to also have that discussion with your woman. Is she okay if you marry somebody? You know, if you marry somebody later on in life, people don't understand the sacredness of polygamy because polygamy is as sacred as monogamy. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing because polygamy is for the interest of the family. People always think that polygamy is sex. It's not sex, it's duty. Just like monogamy is duty. But stepping out of your marriage to go have sex with another woman because of how you're feeling, that is just you trying to play with yourself out there. You know what I mean? That's sexual satisfaction. It has nothing to do with marriage. You see what I'm saying?
Sorry, I can't let that slide. I mean, come on, why would you get married then if your desire is to sleep with other women?
I didn't say I'm okay with that. That's not
Yeah,
what I
but
said.
you're advocating something that you don't believe in.
No, 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 I didn't advocate for it. I said for a man to go and say that he wants to go out there and play with another woman while he's married is not something that I will support. But polygamy is a whole two different thing. Polygamy is as sacred as monogamy because it's for the interest of the family, not just for the interest of the man. You see what I'm saying? So those are 2 different things. So going out to go clap some chicks is not something that I said I support. If you want to maybe marry somebody and then you want to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to go have this, have that, that's your choice. You
So
see
what's the
what I
difference
didn't
between
say
that and polygamy? Clarify that for me, please.
polygamy is a marriage.
Wait, more
So getting
clarify.
married to
Oh shit.
multiple partners.
Is okay. What where in the world is polygamy a sin or a law broken?
No, I get that, but what I'm
No,
asking
it's
is, what is polygamy? What's the definition of polygamy for you?
polygamy is a man marrying more than one wife.
Okay, you can't do that in the Western world.
Excuse me, you can do that even in the United States, you can do that.
No,
No, you
you can't
can't.
Because
marry.
guess
You
what?
can't
Guess
get
what? Let me tell
married.
you why. Let me
Yeah.
tell you why people say you cannot do that in the
Okay.
US. I got to define that. In the US, you can't get 2 licenses.
Of course.
You
Yeah,
cannot.
exactly.
But you can marry more than one wife. But you can't get 2 licenses.
It
By
would not
definition
be.
of marriages, though.
You're playing in between the lines here, and that's why
Right.
Mr. Payne said, "Go back to America." We're in America, right? I'm not in
Uh-huh.
America, hypothetically, but
Okay.
marriage for marriage to be legally recognizable, you need a license. And if
You
you are
remember when
already
you remember
married,
when King Spark was saying
Dre,
off the grid?
who do you
You
need?
remember
Who
when
do you
King
need to
Spark was
recognize
saying
it,
off
Dre?
the grid?
huh?
Who do you
In
need to
America,
recognize
there's
it,
something
Dre?
called common law. There's something
Yes.
called common
So
law.
then call it common law then. You know,
Hold on,
Who
call it
hold
do
on.
you
Yeah,
common
that's a
law.
Now
need
you're
to
talking.
recognize your marriage every day? When you come home, do you need Uncle Sam to high
That's
five you
right.
before you
No,
get in
no,
the
you're
house?
missing the
hey,
point
Well, who
because
do you
you guys are
need?
purposely
I'm
missing
not
the
missing
point.
anything. I'm not
Yes, you
missing
are.
anything. Y'all
hey,
are
King
telling me.
Spot.
You're telling
Hang on,
me.
Mr.
Listen to.
Payne. Hang on,
First of
Mr.
all,
Payne.
first of
King
all, first of all,
Spot.
first of all, first of all, you're talking to a felon, okay? So fuck
Yeah.
rules and all that shit. I don't even
Oh
operate on
no.
that
You
type
say
Oh
you're
shit
no.
talking to a
about this
felon?
rule and that rule and that rule and that rule. I don't even
I'm
move
not
like
trying to
that.
say that,
Fuck that
man.
shit. Okay. Number two. Okay. When you move in and out your day, all right. You move
Yes.
in and out your day, in and out your life, in and out your week, in and out your month. Who do you need to recognize
You
your
don't need to have this.
union
I agree with you.
outside of you and your woman?
I agree
Who
Wait,
with
do you
what you're
you
need?
a
Who do you
felon? You
need?
saying,
can't even leave the state to
Okay.
but you
get the
can't.
proper
But
marriage
in
The
license.
the
community.
All right.
context of what we're doing here, marriage has to have some bounds. We can't just make shit up because each
Yeah.
one of us can
Ain't
define
nobody.
it differently. We can't even have a conversation
Thank you,
unless we
Mr.
have a
Payne.
common track to run on.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you don't consider yourself married. But if in the context of this whole panel, how could every one of us have a different definition of marriage and have a discussion comparing apples to apples? We
What
can't
I'm
do that
saying
if
is
everybody's
that
just making shit up as they go.
no, hold on. Listen, what I'm saying, Mr.
And
Rich.
that's
What
the
I'm saying
problem.
is that the marriage, the whole marriage part, right? The most important part is the commitment and the agreement and the union that you have between the man and said woman.
And it's
That
called
is the
common
most
law.
important part because
It's called common law.
many people, okay, go down there to the courthouse, get the paperwork, and still fuck their wife's sister. Okay, many people still go get the paperwork and still do all kinds of ungodly
I'm not
bullshit.
disagreeing
So the
with you.
paper is not holding you
Kingspat,
together.
check this out.
The
You
paper
know
don't
Judge Judy,
hold you
right?
together.
I'm
This is
not
what
disagreeing
happened.
with you there, but it's
This is how confused United States is about this law of polygamy. United States government is itself is even confused.
about
Judge
polygamy.
Judy, a few years ago, right, was trying to prosecute a man that married 7 wives. He told a man that is against the law in the United States. The man said not in Utah. Then do you know what she did? She then told the man that he married underage girls and one girl that is not underage because she was looking for the premise within the confines of the law to nab him. But she couldn't because even the government itself can't even enforce prosecution on that. You see the problem? So, because it's something that nobody, you can't get licenses. This is the law in the United States. You can't get licenses for 2 women. You can only get licenses for 1 woman, but then you can marry as many as you want off the grid. You can call 5 women your wives as long as you're not filing them on tax return. The government is good.
That's
When
all
it
I
comes to
need.
taxes, that's where the problem is.
All right.
And insurance,
And
and
insurance,
property
yes,
tax, and
yes.
declaring
No,
anything
but
inheritance.
you can own separate houses with them and will houses to them. You can do that, but you
Yeah,
can't claim
okay.
tax.
But yeah, that's fine. But still, we still have to stay within bounds of what it legally means to be married to have this discussion.
Can,
But I
can,
hear everybody else's way they want to add shit in there. It's all common law, and only one woman is the bottom bitch. That's
Exactly.
it. You
Okay,
know.
iceberg slim,
oh,
bottom bitch. God,
Coco is pissed about that now.
I
iceberg
like that.
slim.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
I
I
didn't
like
know he
that,
knew
Mr.
that
Payne.
term.
I like that.
Mr. Rich,
She
That's
got
right.
called suddenly
That's right.
shocked.
and
She's like,
language.
huh?
Mr.
What
Rich
did they
is full
say?
of
That's right.
surprises. Bottom bitch. Whoa.
That's right.
I,
Sugar Rush, may I answer the
I,
question?
I think she got called
The
is frozen.
sugar curls is next, right?
Oh,
She's
are we going
frozen.
this?
Yeah,
I
Are we
yeah.
thought
going
we
this?
were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna skip WTP. He done took about 3 turns.
I think Coco wanted to say something about
I'm
this.
joking.
No, Sugar Curls is next.
No,
Sugar
sugar
I
Curls.
mean,
curls.
go through
I
because
think
I
she's
think
frozen.
we've kind of like got mixed
WTP.
up. So yeah,
WTP.
just go for it.
All right, WTP then Coco.
I should go on.
Oh, mine was quick. If I do believe in monogamy, I believe in alchemy. So, whatever I do is whatever she gets to do. So, if I'm being faithful to her, then I expect her to be faithful to me. But if I'm out there doing things, I have to accept in alchemy that she has the right to do the exact same things. So that's what I truly believe. That's what I was taught in Native culture. That monogamy is not really a forced thing
No,
in marriage,
women
but it is something
don't
that
have
is
freedom. Women
honorable
don't
and it
have
does
freedom to do
mitigate a lot of bullshit. So if you want to really make your marriage work, it's most likely smarter to be monogamous on both sides.
I agree with. Is it WT Funk? Is
What the
this?
funk is
What the
this?
funk?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
He gonna change that. He got to.
I'm sure.
Yeah. WT, I got. Go ahead, Coco. Coco, you muted.
Coco, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Cool. What the funk is this? Okay, cool. So yes, I think I think monogamy is necessary for a whole bunch of reasons. I'll just give an example. So I'm in my 3rd trimester pregnancy, and in the 3rd trimester, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, is that some hospitals will make the women test for hepatitis, HIV, and a whole bunch of different diseases just to understand the risk that they're having with delivering a child or possibly C-section. And I do not worry about any of those things because me and my husband are monogamous. And I think a lot of times people play around with what it does to invite someone into your home who is not a part of your union. There are crazy men and women out there who will seek to destroy what you have, who have diseases themselves, who will bring other people into your lives. I mean, we see these shows where people are caught and then there's violent outbursts, and unfortunately, some people lose their lives. And even outside of that, especially if you're in a prestigious job or somewhat, it can ruin your career in your company. It could ruin your financial or professional career if you are a professional. So, and then when I think about men that are about their purpose, there's a higher level of discipline those men have than just anybody else. It takes a level of discipline to say that, especially if you are in a marriage and you seek to be happily married, that I am going to be on the path to be faithful and monogamous. There's a certain level of manhood of a man who has that dedication and that's acceptive, because I don't want to compromise what I have going on. And I also know that certain women are trifling and will try to destroy everything that I have built with my family. So I think that's important. And I do want to get quickly to the opening remarks because I never spoke on why did I get married. I get married because I was excited to be married. I come from a community where all I see is married people. I come from a community where the doctor could be married to the taxi driver and they still have respect for one another. Meaning the wife could be a doctor and the man could be a taxi driver, but there's still respect for the man, and the man has the respect, and the men hold themselves to a standard where they check one another, and then the women come along and they serve the man and they serve their children. That's all I grew up seeing. That's all that I knew. So I knew from a very young age that I would be married, and I sought to be with a man that had the qualities that my father had before he passed, and most importantly, the qualities of the uncles and the aunties that I saw around me. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. Were some of them crazy? Absolutely. Were there some mistakes that happened? But I saw this, and I am glad for my sheltered upbringing where I was brought up in this, because it was only when I got into college where all these things that I hear a lot of people are saying were thrown at me, like, oh, the woman's going to take the money and the kids are. I never heard this growing up. That's not what I was accustomed to. So when I met my husband, and he was a man about his purpose, and he was fine, and he was not only that, he was very sure of what he wanted when he wanted it. Then it made all the sense in the world to me. And now being older, looking all the benefits, talking to wealthy. When I say wealthy, I'm talking about multimillionaires and people who sold their companies for $1 billion. They say how important, most of them, even the single ones, that being married is, and what being married does for you in the corporate space. And unfortunately, a lot of them are white men that I've had these conversations with, because I'm also trying to grow my business that I'm not going to get into here. But not only just white men, Asian men, Indian
But
men.
they not monogamous, Afro Bob. They not monogamous. They just married.
The
corporates that you get does not come with monogamy. The corporate stuff is because you're married. And I have a little thing I want you to think about Afro Pop.
No, I know. I
That's I'm
understand
gonna pose
that.
to you real quick.
But even with that, they still don't mess with any type of, even if they do have mistresses, which they will have mistresses,
That's
or
why I
do
said,
have.
why would it?
No, but what I'm saying is the level of women that they will have those type of relationships with isn't just any type of woman. Isn't just any woman that you pick up.
That's right.
Why is that assumed? Why is that assumed? Why is it assumed that? Like, no, listen
Mr.
what I'm
Payne,
saying.
you're muted.
Wait. I'll answer that real quick. It's not assumed because, unfortunately, well, let's get to the real. Those type of men have a level of discipline that most men do not have. Those type of men have a standard that most men do not have.
That's right.
The men on those levels don't do the same things that average people do. They sacrifice more, they work more, they're not out there philandering, they're not out there just looking for tail. They're on a purpose. So occasionally they may have some physical needs that might be met, but they're not going to risk it all on the off chance of a
You're giving
woman.
them too much credit. You're giving them too much credit. President Clinton should tell you everything.
I'm not saying it's always,
ma'am, I'm asking you.
It's always the majority and not the exception. I'm not saying there's never 100% on anything, and I think we get caught up on looking at the exceptions instead of looking at the majority of people who are successful and live those type of lives. Let's not get caught up on the exception. Let's be caught up on the rule, because that's what messes us up as Black people. People always want to look at the exception of when we're trying to aspire to do something or be something instead of look at what the general rule is. And I'll just leave it at that. But King,
I got a question for you. I got a question.
Hold on, King Spot. Can I just ask
my
something?
question to you? My question to you was, why is it always assumed when you talk about another woman? Why is it always assumed that there's no more clean vagina out there? That every other vagina that you would no, this is what I'm saying. Every time we have conversation,
that's not what she said.
Because
she's actually talking.
There's more clean.
She's talking in support of you, King Spot. She's talking in support of you.
No, I hear what she's saying, but she brought up.
Right. We gotta
when she brought up when you brought up the disease and stuff like that, and I'm saying every time we have these conversations, the first thing people say is, "Oh, you may bring back this, or you may bring back that." First of all, if you a man and you pick the clean woman, you a clean. They do, and also people get clean vagina on the side too. Very clean.
No, they do have. You both are right. You both are right. She's not wrong. You're not wrong.
So
that's all I said. I only brought up different
I want to get to that real quick because, listen, there is no comparison from a zero risk or in a monogamous relationship. There is no comparison for that. And the bad part is that we got to be very careful speaking on the actions of other people with absolute certainty. That woman you bring into your house that you think ain't doing nothing. Come on, son. This is America. You know, she presents well, and Nas said it best. The prettiest ones are always the nastiest. So y'all better be careful. We actually going around, JC. So we doing Mr. Williams real quick. Is monogamy necessary in marriages?
Yes, I feel like monogamy is necessary for marriage because, like, if you look at what's going on out here now, like, if you ain't had that rule, people just gonna be out here doing whatever they doing now. Like, it'd be even more crazy than what it is now. Exactly. Like people got kids all over the place. You feel me? Like, and then like what King Spot was speaking on, like, I agree with what he was saying, like, far as like getting with a woman and letting her know what's up front, because a lot of men, most men don't do that. Like the same way a lot of men like to say, like, oh, women just so happily out of nowhere wake up on a Tuesday and change their mind and want to divorce you and get all your money now. Like, it don't work like that, because like we can say the same thing for the men. Y'all wait years later down the line in the marriage and y'all want another woman now. Y'all ain't say that up front. Y'all ain't keeping it 100. Like, keep that same energy. Like, but it's too much BS going on out here for real. So, and we don't, like, we wasn't raised like how some other cultures was, like when you got the arranged marriages and stuff like that. Like, we grow up, man. We just, soon we hop out the porch, we out here doing any and everything we want to do. You feel me? Like, no guidance for real. So it's like, I feel like the arranged marriage, I feel like monogamy is the right thing for marriage. I think it's necessary.
But this thing, Mr. William, I gotta say something real quick. The problem in African American marriage is because there is no written rules, no written laws, and no written culture. So I think everybody's just trying to create a culture or create a community within a community. But if you go all over the world, if you go outside the United States, you can see somewhere like UK has a whole culture before the law itself. But America doesn't have a unified culture, or let's say community culture or regional culture. They just have laws. So with laws, you change laws all the time. You change laws all the time. But with culture, you can't change culture. Culture is stoned. So that's a problem.
Like,
So
and that's
until
one big thing in America. We like to change the definition of a lot of things.
because
Like
it's
what
not a
submissive
culture, it's
is,
a law.
like
Yeah.
everything is just twisted around and
Okay,
screwed up.
okay. If you ask me like right now, what is the meaning of submission? If you ask an American, what's the meaning of submission? The women go crazy. Hey, submission, submission. But when you ask an African
They
woman, what
supposed to
is
get
the
on
meaning
their
of
knees and worship
submission?
you like, yes, master.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what
they
they
think.
think. But if you ask an African woman, what is the meaning of submission? They will tell that submission means I have to come home and cook for my husband. I have to make sure that my kids are behaving well. I have to make sure that everybody in the house has something to eat. I have to make sure that the house is clean. That doesn't mean necessarily she's going to be the one cleaning the house, but the house
Cool.
has
Big
to be
point.
clean before the man gets home. So
Big
she
point.
has to make sure that everything is in order before the man comes home. And as soon as the man gets home, guess who eats first in the house? The husband before anybody else. That's the culture. When he eats, now the whole house can eat. But in most African houses, the husband doesn't just eat first. The whole family eats on one big table.
All
The
right.
whole household eats on one big table. That's
Nowadays
how
it ain't
we
like
eat.
that. You know, people eating in their
Oh hell
room,
no.
people eating in the
I eat
living
by
That's a
room. Like
myself.
the
problem.
Man.
whole
Yeah.
the
That's a
family
problem.
nowadays is separated when it comes to eating at the
Yeah.
table.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna
So
go to
People,
Wendy's.
people,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go
So
to Wendy's real
people
submission.
quick.
got
Anybody want something?
Submission to Africa to an African person means that
Better say something
before
now.
dad comes home, everybody's well behaved. That's
right,
submission.
like in America, like black, like a lot of people, like a lot of families just got a kitchen table just for decoration. They don't even sit at that motherfucker
And they never eat on it.
at all.
Yeah, but
All right,
that's a choice
hold
though.
on. Let's go
I
around.
know.
CBN. Can we get your answer? CBN. Is monogamy necessary for marriages?
For anything, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. And to answer the question, monogamy is needed in marriage. And I have my reason why. My brother here, Kitty, was trying to explain to you what polygamy really is. And when Dre said they don't do that in the US, I think people forget history. You had a Mormon society that practiced it, and one leader got arrested. Unless you don't like history, you need to start reading up on that one. That man had up to 17 to 18 wives. The young one was 14. It was done in the state that not only he was doing it, the judge was doing it, a state senator was doing it, a doctor was doing it, a professor was doing it, a banker was doing it, a bunch of other office officials were doing it. So if you don't know that history, then I'm sorry, you need to start reading up. And me, I pay attention to every single news that has been broadcast in this city since Peter Jenny. You know who that is. I think being aware. Now, when you have a community that practice monogamy marriage, whereby if one man, one woman, you build a strong community. You build an account within that community. Let's forget about the Jewish community, right? Let's forget about the African community. We have other ethnic groups that do the same exact thing and have their own economic within themselves. What you don't know, they make sure they support their bit and their bit is always striving. When people trying to adopt things or bring some kind of false ideology that they are going to work, all you're doing is making what they call a meta smoothie. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, I'll make a little of this, and see how they're going to work. But through the test of time, that never works. The problem with men, with Kenny know this very well, African Pop know this very well, men of certain status, men of certain discipline, make sure they hold their fellow brother to the same level they hold themselves. Which means, we may not know the King Pop, but there are people who only do business with people based on how they conduct themselves, not only in business, but only in family. You will never see that thing because I've seen it firsthand. When I say I'm a byproduct of polygamy, I know what I'm talking about. So when you see people say, no, I'm not going to do business who is faithful to the wife because in case something goes wrong, it could affect my business and my pocket. I'm not going to do business with you. If you don't know all the multiple businesses that's running in this country that are not always based on American people with multiple foreign people, you don't know what kind of business that group they have behind closed doors. That's the thing you have to be careful. We can't assume all men cheat. Not all men cheat, and not all women cheat. Maybe you cheat. I'm when you talk about yourself. But don't say the next man cheat when he doesn't. It takes discipline. One time I hear about a lot of men talk about it, discipline. Let me discipline myself not to be going willy nilly this guy anyone when I see. I don't hear a lot of guys say that. But when you attack women, okay, you go ahead, you can attack women. But if you can attack yourself, talk about how you hold yourself accountable, keep yourself in the straight and now, then don't talk about how to build marriage up. Because it kind of pointless. To be frank with you guys. I'm from a Nigerian culture, CBN, Canadian born Nigerian, that's what it stands for. I am a Nigerian. I was raised that way. I was breathed that way. We were told a man who was not committed to the mission, to the dedication, to what they claim to go be on top on, it's not a man at all to begin with. If you're going to keep on flip-flopping, then be a flip-flopper. Don't say you're a man and you say you're going to do this one day and another thing you're something completely different. That is messed up.
All right.
That's what I got to
My
say.
man, JC. What's going on? Good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
All right.
Chilling.
Hey, so do you want me to answer the main question and then the second question, or
Yeah.
or why I got married?
Yep.
Because I damn felt like it. That's why.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because I damn love my woman. That's why. Because I saw her and I was like, damn, yeah, she's mine and she's gonna be mine, and that's it, and only for me. That's why. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, that's the reason why I got married, bro. I wanted to have a union with my woman that I love, the one that I saw that I can have a future with and build a future with, build a society with, have children with, be a companion with, you know, until death do us part. That's the reason why I got married. I saw there was something sacred in that. There was something very valuable in that. And she's mine, you know, she's mine, and that's it. So, I mean, plain and simple. It's not overly complicated. I think people complicate it way too much. Secondly, the whole polygamy issue, I don't have a stance on it per se. I do believe monogamy is necessary. I also believe that for a time period back in the days, with our ancient forefathers, I think it was necessary for polygamy to exist, just or should have been was allowed for the specific reason that women back in those days were untrained, unlearned, and they didn't have the benefits that Western culture women have today. So the time any unmarried women back in those days, she would have to have her protection and her provision by either her father or her brothers. That's it. If she was unmarried, if unmarried women usually were left to, if they didn't have a father, they didn't have, brothers like that, they would could end up in slavery or in prostitution. So, polygamy actually served the women well in the sense that a husband would take on multiple wives and she would fall under his protection, under his covering, and at the same time the expansion of humanity was just a lot faster in those times, right? Do we need that now? I don't think we need that. Women are educated, women are providing for themselves, women are heavily protected, so I don't think it's needed. I don't, is it allowable? Sure, it's allowable. Like I said, I don't have a stance on it. If it's my preference is just to be monogamous to my wife, I think that I'll take the stance of Solomon. He has 700 wives, 300 concubines. And as he got older, the word said that his his heart started falling away from his purpose. I think that the more women that you entertain, the more that you're not focused on what your purpose actually is in this life, right? Because you have to be so involved, heavily involved with these people instead of just being involved with just one. So I think so that's why I choose monogamy. I just can't deal with it. One, my wife is too damn expensive too, so she's breaking my bank account, so I can't even think about having 5 different wives. You know what I mean? So that's my position on it.
Hey, Ruckus, you made a great point, man, on the in the past in terms of women being covered. I believe that women need to be covered today, even with all the freedoms that they have. And
Yeah.
that's why some of the older women who are uncovered are having so much issues being alone.
Yeah.
They put a good face on it, but most women, I still think, want the covering of a man.
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
agree
And I go
completely
with
with
I
that.
go with what Africo Pop what was saying. I think that I mean I'm talking about polygamy in the respectable aspect of it. What Dr. Yukine, that's what's his
No,
name?
I'm with you on that one,
Yukine, like
on the polygamy thing.
it was a matter of
And
it was a
yeah.
matter yeah, it was a matter of duty, right? Done the right way. Now the whole polygamy talk, especially in the YouTube space, is mostly like, oh, I have a wife and I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna have other girlfriends or whatever the case. They ain't really talking about getting them to be married. They're just being out there being reckless. So that's a whole different thing. I think the word polygamy has taken a different turn. I don't think it means what it meant back then. So that's why it gets a bad light.
I'm with you.
But yeah, man. I mean, I'm all for monogamy. I don't have a stance on polygamy in our day and age because I don't see it necessary. But that's just me.
And let me quickly say something about that. Because I'm glad you said that because I have been on multiple panels telling people that America's way of system will not support the idea of polygamy. Polygamy is a deep-rooted culture. Anyone from Africa or Middle East knows this very, very well. It's not simple just to practice things ain't going to fix it. I always say this, unless you're a man of mass resource and wealth, you can do that on your own. But what workers say it's too damn expensive. So if you think you're a big boss, then make sure all your multi-wives have faith for themselves and their children, and make sure not one of your kids go to public school. You cannot do that, then stop talking to polygamy nonsense because unless you're from an African descendant or you're from the Middle East or any deep level culture that have been practiced for more than 1,000 years, don't want you to come out of their monkey ass mouth talking about polygamy. I just said that. I'm full blown African. You dig?
All right. Sugar
One
Curls,
thing
is monogamy necessary in marriages?
Yes, I do think monogamy is necessary. And I say that because God's original purpose for man and woman was to have one man and one woman. But I do understand that at some point in history, God did allow polygamy, and that was a purpose. Polygamy had a purpose. Abraham seed, he needed to populate the earth. There is a structure to it. It was allowed by God. We know what eventually happened. He also showed the negative side of polygamy with Elkanah and his wives, Hannah and Peninnah. He also showed what could happen in these relationships. So if God allows it in the future, I'll be okay with polygamy, actually, if he allowed it. But he would always have a purpose. There's nothing he does that doesn't make sense, that doesn't add up. But I'm going to follow what he says. We know that down the line in Timothy, he talks about in order for a spiritual man to be accepted by God, he must be a man of one woman, of one wife. So in that case, I do see why monogamy is necessary today for marriage. There's many benefits to it. And also, I think Ruck has made a good point. I'm not a man, but I'm going to agree with him from what I've heard men saying. The focus of a man's purpose is much more keen when he is not involved with so many women, because women can be very jealous and trifling to one another. They can destroy what the man has built. They can cause children to go against their parents, or go against each other. So yeah, that's my take on that.
100%.
I think y'all are missing. I think y'all missing the order of operations here. Okay, before you even get to your status and your purpose, and you become successful, you probably have to go through. For me personally, I went through a portion of a year and a half that I didn't date any women at all. I didn't date nobody to focus down and get to where I am now. Now that I'm here, right? And I built it up myself. Nobody was with me shooting in the gym. Nobody helped me build this shit. Nobody helped me do a damn thing. I'm here now. I will be goddamned if I will meet any woman that's gonna tell me how I'm gonna move at this point. Ma'am, I suggest you have a seat, enjoy the goddamn ride. If you don't like it, get off the bus. That's
That
it.
is
Ain't shit
why
else to
I
talk about.
said that King Spark doesn't practice partnership, he practices dictatorship. I said that earlier, right? And you called it a partnership. Hey, King Spark, check this out.
I apologize.
Now you're talking. You see? I gotta tell you, coming from Africa, right? One thing that we know for sure is this: polygamy is not easy. We might say polygamy is okay. We say it that is okay. It's not anybody's fault to do If you want to practice polygamy, go ahead and do it. It's not against the law. It's not against nature. It's not against anybody that tells you that against nature is lying. The person is not being truthful. But there are big consequences to polygamy. Number one, when you marry 2 wives or more, be ready for a headache.
Yep.
Just like Coco, someone like the lady that just left said, I got to tell you, women are very spiteful. They will destroy what you built. Maybe not in your youth when you're full of energy, especially when you're getting older. They will turn their kids against the other woman kids. They will screw your whole family. What it does, you're gonna, instead of you dying at the age of 100, you're gonna die at the age of 75.
Yep.
They will cut your life down by 20 years. They will do that.
Listen, I gotta cut you off because you're taking my answer. I had an answer. I had an answer too. You taking my answer.
That's worse than smoking cigarettes. No, I'm kidding.
Damn, like you taking my answer, Mr. Ikene. Okay, here's how I feel about monogamy, man. You're gonna if you don't practice it. Let's talk about monogamy. Y'all know men created monogamy, right? It's not a woman thing. Men created monogamy. First off, I'm not gonna take care of all y'all illegitimate ass kids that y'all be having around here. Polygamy is for men with resources. Let's be very clear about that.
100%.
Right? You're gonna be out here taking a woman's womb and her box, and let's be clear: if you do it enough times, you're gonna end up with another child by that woman. Now you must house her, and in most traditions, you must house her separately from your wife. How many of you niggas can do that? So yeah, 99% of you already can take several seats.
Put them into efficiencies.
Now let's bring it into my personal house, because I'm not going to assume anybody can't or cannot. Just like Mr. Ikene said, being married is a blessing. I love it. I would do it 10 times over, except for the fact that I don't want 2 damn opinions in my house from 2 women. I don't want 2 opinions in here. I already got one, and she's opinionated. All right. I like the little spunk she got, but I don't want 2 of her ass. Okay. Do you see like these shows that are on TLC and whatever? And this dude is supposed to come
5
home.
of them.
He got like 5 wives in the same house. One stay upstairs, one stay in the basement, one stay in the room with him. This dude is supposed to come home from a long day of work. I think he's in construction. Somebody's supposed to be taking his shoes. These women are in the hallway arguing. My black ass would turn the hell around and move out of that house. Where my kids at? Bring my kids. I can't do that every day. He's breaking up fights between grown ass women all day. The sex isn't worth it. I'm sorry. The sex isn't worth it. I cannot do that. If I ever had like an inkling that I wanted to do it, that show, y'all know what show I'm talking about. It turned me off. The white dude, they live in that big ass house in the woods. I can't do that. I can't.
Mike, if you do that, what will happen to your hairline?
Huh? Oh yeah. Well, Ikene said it. 20 years off your life, easy. And it's the worst part about it. You don't even need to have multiple wives to see this work. Look at how women interact with their own family, with their sisters. And the women you most respect, not immature women. Look at your mother and your mother-in-law. Look at your mother and her sisters. Women cannot, they do this all day. Put them in the same quarters, and that's what's going to happen. As Mr. Rich likes to say, we bring order to chaos, but I'd rather chaos not ensue in my own damn home. Please and thanks. All right. Now, everybody got a chance to answer the question.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, I was going to say something. Okay,
go ahead, Mr. Ikene.
Yeah, this is what we say in Nigeria, right? When a woman is angry, she sets the whole house on fire, not caring who is inside. When it's all burned down, she's like, "Whoa, where is my child?" She already burned her child.
I'm not so sure that's just for Nigeria.
Yeah. The child is gone. You see, she will only think after the damage is done. So just imagine you having that. So polygamy is not bad. Like I said, it's not a bad thing at all, but it comes with a whole lot of consequences.
Public announcement. If you want to get
What are
polygamy,
most people? What are most
reach out
people
to me.
stressed about?
I'll ship it to you.
What are
Okay,
most
the
women
thing is
stressed
this, right?
about? What do
What are
most
most
women
women
stress their husband about? Like this, is what my thing is, right? So in my situation, right, you
Everything.
got your woman, right? She's stressed about this, that. Another woman, this, another woman. Do you know how disarming it is to bring the other woman and say, "Here she is, right fucking here. Y'all talk about that shit. I'm going outside." After they
and by the
get that
and
shit
by and by
together,
the and by the time you
ain't
come and
nothing
by the
else to
time you come
argue
back,
about.
guess what? Guess what, King
Who
Spark?
got
By
to
the time
argue
you come
about?
back from outside, your whole house is turned upside down. In fact,
No,
there
that's
is
not
fire on
true
the
though.
mountain.
Wait,
Women
wait.
don't
True.
reach resolution.
Smart.
I got
Are
to
you
tell you,
wait? Smart.
you
Are you
put two
saying
men.
put the women out? Are you saying put the
Huh?
women outside
No,
and let?
he's saying that
No,
put them together to settle
I'm
their
saying
issues.
once this is my personal life experience, what I'm telling you. Once you take
Okay.
out of the woman's head, like my main chick, the first one, the bottom joint, I can't call it that like that. I can't say that. Okay. But when you take the first one out,
You
right?
be diplomatic.
Now past that. Now past that. After that, right? After that, once you say, "Hey, baby, this such and such," and in my situation, they knew of each other anyway, right? So, but once that is on the table, we really don't run into many issues at all. Because what else is left to fucking be upset about?
King's
I
Park, I
don't
gotta
agree with
give
him.
you know what?
Oh,
In King's Park, I
yeah,
gotta agree with what you just said. If there is any place that polygamy can be practiced and practiced perfectly is the United States. I gotta tell you that. Because there's already laws that people obey here. If you disobey laws, you go to jail. In Nigeria, no, women don't really go to jail. Here,
They don't go to
they can
jail
go,
for
they go
all.
to jail. But over there, they don't really go to jail. So this is the best place for polygamy. And one thing again, there
Oh,
are more than 70% of
correction.
the women
Can I?
here are not married. You see what I'm
Can
saying?
I?
So they want
Correction.
a husband.
Can I? Correction.
So when you look at the
Hold on,
top three,
hold on.
hold
Yeah,
on. I've been quiet for some time, so let me just get this out, please. One of the top reasons for divorce in the Western world is infidelity or extramarital affairs. So we can safely assume that most women are not going to be okay with their husband stepping out on them, let alone polygamy. It's
polygamy
an
is not
unrealistic
infidelity.
expectation.
You know what, Dre? I would agree with
Polygamy is
you.
not infidelity.
But
I was
Dre,
gonna say.
they don't have a choice. They don't have a
I was gonna
choice.
say. Yeah. So right
You footing
now,
the bill for
there
every
are women.
goddamn thing.
Dre, right now we got to understand women are only. It's a part of the women's empowerment movement. Yes, this version of woman that's out right now with these opportunities is gonna feel that way. I'm going to put a bet on it that the advance of AI, because it's coming after their jobs. First off, women do the least amount of scalable work. They do the least amount of hands-on work that AI can replace. So once they start getting replaced at work, everything that was once not attractive to them, they might want to try, right? Because I'm telling you, it's something they don't want now because they have a choice. No, I can get a man. I can get a man to come over. I make my own money. Boy, are we gonna have some polygamous ass households in 10 years? I might be getting DMs talking about, "Hey, big head." Nah, I told you how I feel about it.
I think the women are capping anyway, man. They understand about sharing, man.
They
Let me
do.
say something real
They do.
quick. Let me say something real
They do.
quick. I'm not gonna take too long. Oh, I can't say there's no jail in Nigeria, but I do know that the court Nigerian jail call you back to your mama, your papa house, where you get kicked out.
100%. Yeah, that is how.
Okay.
Yeah, she ended up going back to her parents' house. Yeah, that's right.
And the
All right.
shame is 10 times
I got a
bigger.
question. Let me. In fact, I think we got super chats. Let me read those real quick. My man Perry Unlikely, $10. I don't understand how any successful, productive man in the U.S. considers risk, sees it in their best interest to marry and have jump offs. It's an office relationship, bad for business. I don't know who he's talking to. It's like, yeah, I do. Trigger Mike, who's this guy? Hearing clap some cheeks in Ikene's voice was fire. Clap some cheeks. I'm gonna call my dad and just say, can you say
Club them cheeks.
All right, Dre. Foreign currency $5 or 5. Men are not designed to be monogamous, but if you choose to enter into the institution of marriage, you should be prepared to be monogamous. Absolutely, I agree. AL $5. If you could practice polygamy in today's economy, your family/clan would be unstoppable. Example: 4 wives means 5 incomes. You'd be unstoppable. Yes, that is unstoppable/impossible to get 5 women to do anything on a consistent basis long enough for it to be productive. You got to remember, like, we don't disagree with none of this stuff, and it's not on the men's end that the uncertainty happens. Men work the entirety of their life and close to their death date. Try to get 4 women. We have a problem getting men and women to stay in one woman to stay in the same house with a man. How the hell are we gonna get 4 of them? Somebody let me know.
You know what's crazy is that there's women out here that would be shut out with you and ask you, hey, are you looking for a second wife? And they mean it.
Yeah.
Like they come asking the men, are you looking for a second wife?
It's crazy, cool, man. But in 10 years, it's gonna be hey big head. I'm telling, because it's not. Think about it. I think Ikene said it. It's not about sex. It's about, dude, these women need protection. Think about it. In a world, and look at the economy. Like, we have to understand what's happening around us present day. Banks, 3 banks failed in a week. Somebody correct me. Is it 3? 3 banks failed in a week.
3, yeah.
This economy is about to come crashing down. And I don't think women understand that they are the first ones. Every job that they hold is administrative. It's not civil engineering. It's not work with hands. They're not on laying roof tiles. Their job's going first. So polygamy is about duty, protection, provision, especially when a woman already has children. Maybe her husband was deceased. She wants and needs the covering of another man. So once they're mature enough to understand that, they're gonna come knocking on people's doors. But my house full.
And one thing is this, right? You see, when it comes to polygamy, a lot of people think that polygamy is that the man is going to be having sex all the time. People have to take that off their head, because number one, men usually don't. A man can go a whole month or 2 months after full blown sex for a week or half of a week. He's good for the next 1 month. It's all duty to him.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that people fail to understand is that most men are very sexually out of their mind in their early 20s, up to mid 20s, a little bit to their 30. But once after 35, you're thinking about money. That is why men from 35 are more richer than men younger. You see, because it's all about the purpose. So women have to understand that men don't go into polygamy institution because they want to have sex with different women. It's a misconception. It's like Trigo Mike said that I said, it's duty. It's duty. A man is trying to protect his legacy. That's why they have second wives, third wives, because they're trying to either create more family to increase his chance of spreading his wealth or spreading his seed or having accumulation of wealth. Mostly what is in a man's mind for polygamy is wealth creation. Just like people create businesses today, they want to have multiple businesses. Men create multiple children so that he will have multiple businesses. Men see children as business.
Yeah.
But some women see polygamy as man's sexual satisfaction. It's not the same.
But the women back then, you can understood that concept. They understood that it was. They understood that, and it was nothing about being unfaithful or anything like that. They just understood that was a concept. It was about the legacy of the man.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the issue I have with Ikeni, what you're pushing is that polygamy is an unrealistic practice in the Western world. It's illegal. So the way men get their satisfaction is through infidelity or an extramarital affair. So when you say that polygamy benefits the family, it actually doesn't. It's not a realistic expectation. It might happen in Nigeria.
Wealth. No, it creates wealth.
Let me shut this guy real quick. Dre, I got a question, Dre.
Dre,
I got a
let me
question.
speak to Dre.
Go
Let me
on.
speak to Dre.
Oh,
this
I'm
dude
gonna
is
speak to him after
polygamy.
you. Go ahead, CBN. I want Dre after you.
Go on, King Spark. Go on, King Spark. Speak to me.
I thought you talking about
King Spark, speak to me.
So my question is for you. Number one, so you believe that most men in America, which what you're talking about, is they're most monogamous in their relationship?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that polygamy in the West is illegal. And when men are not faithful, they're unfaithful through extramarital affairs. That's obvious. When you look at the top 3 reasons for divorce, infidelity is out there. That means a lot of married men are having sex out of wedlock, or women are doing that. But women file for divorce the most. So we can safely assume that if one of the top 3 reasons is sexual infidelity, it stands to reason that a lot of married men are having extramarital affairs.
But Dre, I think you're mixing the two though. I think you're mixing with a man being in a monogamous marriage and then stepping out of line, and then a man that's in a polygamous marriage, meaning multiple wives. Where
Yeah.
like we can understand that one man being monogamous to his wife, okay, the divorce rate is because he's stepping out of line, or one or the other is stepping out of line. But what is the cause for the divorce rate, let's say in a polygamous marriage?
I'm not even willing to consider the polygamous argument, because for me, we're in the Western world.
No, of course.
It's not recognized.
No, I get you. But I mean that just sticking to
It's
the top.
not recognized, but it's being practiced by almost
In
a whole lot of people
And I
in
would
the
also
West.
like to say,
And it's
not
called
only is it not
adultery.
recognized,
It's
Is
called like
polygamy
poultry.
like how much is polygamy actually being practiced here in the United States? Because I personally do not know. I don't know
Yes.
this.
Let's
How
define
more than
polygamy.
you
how
think.
much is being
It's
practiced?
one-offs.
Hang on.
But also
Polygamy.
you need to
Hang on,
have
hang on.
money.
Can we just define polygamy? Let's define polygamy. Polygamy is being married to more than one person
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
West legally.
Exactly.
It's not a realistic practice. It doesn't happen. It's not supported by
It's
law.
called adultery here in the
That's
West.
right. That's right.
And once
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
once
That's what I
again,
wanted to know. How much of the population is in a polygamy marriage, meaning
Outside of
legally married?
Utah, no, pretty small.
Nobody.
no.
Outside Utah, no,
okay.
there are people, but very
So
small
Dre, do you
outside
believe
Utah.
in gentlemen's clubs, Dre? Do you believe in
No,
patronizing gentlemen's clubs?
no. King's Park, check this out.
That's not a
Check
question.
it back.
I
Let me
just got
throw
a question.
King's Park.
I'm
King's
going
Park. Let
somewhere
me
with
throw
this.
your question.
Give me
gonna
one
go.
second.
Let me rephrase your question to Dre. King's Park. Let me rephrase your question to Dre. Dre, do you know that a single black man in America has at least 5 baby mamas, but statistically it's 3 baby mamas on average?
No,
In the white community,
not true.
no, statistically it's 3.
No, it's not true.
No. When you put not that every of them do. There are 16% of black men that have almost 4 or 5 baby mamas on average. But when you take the whole black men together and put it together, both the married and unmarried one, no, both the married ones, right, that have divorced, and put them all together, it's about 3, which is 2.5 statistically. But I'm just running it up. That is polygamy
let me finish this.
indirectly. That is polygamy
That's
directly.
true. That's true. But this is my question, Dre. Do you believe in gentlemen's clubs?
I think you're mistaken, King Spark, that somehow
No,
I'm
I'm asking a
advocating.
question.
I do. Yeah, if
You
that's
believe
what
in
flips your
gentlemen's
boat.
clubs? Okay, let me
If
answer
that's
this
what
question.
flips your boat, do it. I don't care.
Listen, here's my deal though, right? With all this marriage monogamy talk, right? Who do you think frequents and patronizes gentlemen's clubs the most? Single men or married men?
Likely married men.
Okay. All right.
Is that true?
All right.
That's not true. I don't know what the hell
Yeah,
you
what is true?
That's not true.
Yeah, what is true?
That's not true.
Because, and I'm gonna tell you why. 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 Okay, right? A single man, right, that can go wherever he want to go. Okay, he don't need to show up at 11:15 a.m. to get a steak from the gentleman's club that have Sasha sit on his lap till 12 so he can run his ass off back to work. Okay, single men don't move like that. Single men go wherever the hell they want to go at whatever time they go, stay out as late as they want to. They don't need that spot to where they have convenience. The gentleman's club is just like the 7-Eleven of vagina. That's all it is. It's
Trigger
on the
Mike, do you
corner,
have
so you
a
can grab
question?
and go.
We getting another
It's grab
question.
and
I
go
don't.
vagina.
We have talked about strip clubs being 7-Eleven. Okay, so what a segue to the next question. We're gonna start with Ruckus. Cheese and rice. Where my man King Park be coming from with this hood philosophy? Deion Sanders said he wants his quarterback to be from a 2-parent household. Why? So just to give a little bit of context, my bad. He went in and he really broke it down. He said, yeah, some of the players that aren't really looked at as leaders of the whole team, they can come from, single parent households and this, that, and the third. But the quarterback got to be from a 2-parent household. Why do you think that is?
I mean, coming from, I guess statistically speaking, coming from a 2-parent household, a healthy 2-parent household, just brings much more stability and discipline towards the kids. I think they have a level of discipline that other people don't have. They have a structure. Yeah, I think all of those qualities just come as a byproduct of being in a healthy 2-parent household. So I think it's just that quarterback seeing the leadership of his father, that he can incorporate bringing that those leadership qualities and maturity into a team, into a unit. That's what I would say.
I bet. CBN.
I take the same he said, but also the bit of self accountability, self responsibility, and self reflection. In come from a 2-parent healthy household, the father will teach the son how to be accountable, how to be responsible, how to self reflect when you think. Don't be so quick to point finger when you're the one responsible for passing the ball to the right person to score a touchdown. Now, you get it a quarterback for a single parent household, you get the feminine version of a football player who, when he screw up, it's not his fault. You will blame the wide receiver, you will blame this person, you will blame that person. That's the reason why. I hate to say it, Deion Sanders understood this very well. You understand the logic behind the mentality of a player. Because based on who raised that child, what skills are they inputting into that child? I don't see a lot of people single mom talk about they teach their son self-reflection or accountability or responsibility and live it. It's more like do at the same, not that I do. When you have a father in the household who is consistent and reflected, the son will learn from that. This is why that's called true leadership skill. Let everybody have it. You can learn that from the military. That's the way you can get it from. I'm just saying.
All right. Coco, why does he want his quarterback to come from a 2-parent household?
Well, I saw some of the clip because he was also talking about offensive linemen, defensive linemen, like the type of households, and he made a distinction when it came to quarterback because I forgot if it was defensive or offensive, but he's like, I need them to be like hungry with a single mom, getting it out the mud. They need to be the dogs. They need to just be attacked. And then when you think of the quarterback position, mind you, I'm not a football connoisseur, but it is said to be the leader of the team, the captain of the team, and that if they are in a 2-parent household, and Ruckus said, a healthy 2-parent household, that kid has the best of both worlds of understanding how a team dynamic works and seeing that the mother and the father work together and know how to lead based on seeing the leadership at home. So that is why I believe. And then also to Deion Sanders' credit, he it's not that he's the only one who has this thought pattern when it comes to picking positions. He was just the first one to really say it, and for it to be blown up on a national spotlight. Coaches come and they already know, and they have their idea of who they are trying to scout based on the home environments that they come in. So I don't think saying anything new in that space.
That's true.
Not only are you 100% right, I do think he's stupid for being so vocal about this shit. Like, dude, we know.
No, he's not stupid. It's the first time somebody said it. was
Yeah, I
about
think
time.
I
It,
think
it
I
don't
was a
need to be
good.
said. He talked too damn much.
No,
It's like,
no, no,
no.
no. It needs to be said.
All
Nah,
right, how
it's
much
great.
how much you want to bet somebody go file a lawsuit
You,
because they kid will get
No, no, I don't think so.
like, I'm a single mom and you denied my. I'm like, dude, shut up. So this Deion Sanders don't talk too much. He talk way. Things are supposed to be. What do we call them at work? Things that are not talked about but understood. Things are some things are supposed to be that way, and he just be airing out all the
Trigger Mike.
trade secrets. He be giving out all the trade secrets. Like, come on.
Trigger Mike. That's why you see black men and men in general are not represented because they don't talk enough.
This is not the type of talk we're talking about, man. This is not the type of talk that we're talking about. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree. But Deion Sanders talks too damn much.
But to respond to what you just said right now, let me say this. When I was 14 years old, right? This is what my mom told me. She said to me, I want you to go to law school. I was like, law school? She's like, yeah, I would like you to go to law school. So that way, if I slap somebody, you can defend me. And that was the day I told myself, I'm not going to law school. You know why? Because if you look at it this way, the way a mother raises a child and the way a father raises a child is totally different. When you are in a two household, the dad becomes the water that quenches the fire because your mom is always hot, but your dad is the one that say, hey, everybody here, calm it down. But if you're not raised in a two household, you spend the week with your mom, and then you come back to your dad weekend. This is what has happened to a child. The child has gone through fire during the week without being quenched. By the time he gets to his dad over the weekend, he's destroyed.
Oh man,
he's messed up.
Wow.
So, but if the dad was in the house during the week, right, he will help to quench that fire. So, a woman prepares a child to defend her, while a father prepares a child to defend the community. You see what I'm saying?
I like that.
So that is why
sounds good.
a child from two households is good.
He got all them Nigerian proverbs working.
I'm standing behind that one, Mr. Rich. That is
it sounds good. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing. Hey, Sugar Mike, I had a question for you, really quick. Because I know you said once that if you look at all these championship teams, right, the main star was married, right? He came from being married and having children. Now, were majority, because I don't know, I know only some athletes. Were most of these athletes coming from a two-parent household?
Which sport you talking about?
Just
Football?
athletes in general, because you see like the star in basketball, let's say like Stephen Curry, he's married. LeBron James, he's married. Tom Brady, he was married.
Nope, you already get because you're taking my answer. God.
I'm asking you, Trigger. I'm asking you, Trigger. So I want you to answer. No, I want you to answer. I'm asking you. That's why.
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Trigger. Yeah, because I wanted to ask you that. I remember you saying that.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, you took my answer, but no, you're right. So when you do the math, it is perfectly easy. The leader, this is why he broke it down to different positions. He said everybody else could be a wild boy, right? So the interesting part is that when he said that, that's why I was like, stop giving out all the trade secrets, because what you're doing is giving people time to dissect it and choose one bad example to break up the whole reason why people do this in the first place. I used to get upset for getting chosen for things when I really just wanted to chill. But they always, I'm talking about in boot camp, I was 24 years old. And I'm like, let me let some of the young, there's some 18-year-olds in here. Let me let them do it. These people came to me and was like, we need you to be port-wide section leader. I was like, golly, because they understand. Just look at someone and the way that they move, they will get all of these unruly ones in line, right? So
true that.
LeBron, I mean, just go 20 years back, 30 years. The star player on every team has won an NBA championship 75% of the time. That person is married. I didn't even do from a 2-parent household. That person is married. And then I told the story. Y'all heard me talk about this. My college roommate, best friend. He went to high school with Trevor Ariza, who used to play for the Rockets. So when he come here to Houston for Martin Luther King Day weekend, which is awesome too, y'all gotta come. We be getting lit out here, okay? We would go to his house and we would go to the game. All right, so he'd come out here and we talked to Trevor Ariza, and he told us a story about Kobe Bryant and how one of the scrubs, I don't know if his name was I forget, one of the new rookies that was a point guard was like, Kobe, why don't you never teach us how to elevate our game? And he said Kobe called everybody to the gym at the time he practices, which is super early, by the way, like 4 a.m. So everybody came in basketball gear, and they said Kobe didn't talk. Kobe didn't talk about basketball, and they didn't even play basketball. Kobe talked to them about life. He talked to them about getting their life in order, getting married, making sure they got one woman that's going to get their diet plan, to get all this stuff, and just had them taking notes, because when your life is in order, your game will elevate. Y'all going out till 3, 4 in the morning and try to come and practice at 7. It's not working. That's why we keep losing games, right? So it's that person that needs to wrangle all of these unruly people together, right? So that is why the Deion Sanders, I believe, is looking for someone from a 2-parent household who values marriage, who themselves is going to have a good chance of getting married being married once they get into their prime. So he can wrangle all these rookies that we bring in. He can model a good example for them and what they need to do, right? So it's weird. All of the people who have the most are married. Tom Brady was married, right? Michael Jordan was married. LeBron James is married. Just keep going through it. Stephen Curry is married. Giannis isn't even he's in some kind of long-term thing, but he lives in the house with that woman. He's basically married. You see what I'm saying? It's yo, this stuff is real. The way it puts your life in order as a man and projects out to the world that you want to live by some kind of discipline is real. It cannot be denied.
Like you can also look at Shaquille O'Neal's stats when he was married versus when he wasn't married.
Oh, yeah.
And before
Trigger Mike. Sorry, Trigger Mike. I mean, when athletes ascend the performance ladder and reach the top, it makes sense to be married, because being unmarried and single is too destabilizing. So I don't advocate. I mean, you look at the athletes who are still playing the field, they're all over the place, and you're going to be targeted by a lot of women. So absolutely, to maintain that performance level, you need to have a woman of substance next to you, and that can only help you. So I don't disagree with that at all.
You're speaking so many facts. Let me tell you what happened when somebody asked me. I thought we would have when we got Chris Paul to join James Harden when he was in Houston. Everybody was like, "Y'all gonna win a championship?" I said, "Hell no." Do you know what James Harden does around this city? Do you know we not winning the championship because he can't change his behavior? Go to Dreams. Go to Dreams down here on a Sunday night. James Harden don't even live here no more. I promise you, he gonna be in there this Sunday. He don't even live in Houston no more, and he in there. Like this, he goes, he drives. He has his homeboys drives his cars behind a whole bus full of women. That's how he rolls around the city. This dude got no discipline.
Now I'll add to this one. Besides LeBron James, who have been not only mad but have been faithful, what other NBA players who have been fit and consistent in the BNL right now? The man is focused.
Repeat
the
the
man is
question.
disciplined. Besides LeBron James, who is an active NBA player, who is a BNL already, what other married couple who is as focused as he is trying to reach that status right now?
I'd say Stephen Curry. No, there are a few. But they
just
got
trying to get there.
Scrubs. They got a bunch of scrubs on their team, so they ain't going nowhere.
Can I say a quick point? LL Cool J said that I think he started in conversations with rappers and getting in trouble. He said I forgot who he spoke to, but he started a practice where he always brought his wife to when he was performing, because he said when he brought his wife, he knew he wouldn't get in trouble that night. So ever since, with him going on concerts, he always brought his wife because he just knew trouble wouldn't come around him. So I think to the Trigger Mike's point, and I'm sorry, Dre, I know that you're next to speak on this topic, is that a good woman and a wife centers you. It gives you purpose. It gives you clarity where you are just not out here on the street. And to Ekene's point, when it comes to, and we're not going to put back to polygamy, but when it comes to family and duty, once a man has his purpose and his focus and extends beyond what he does to his family and essentially leaving a legacy behind, because that's truly the only legacy that you leave behind that matters, is just a whole other level of intention and standard and a standard of living. So I'm sorry, I know Dre, it's your turn.
My man AL said MJ was married, but he was in the club and casino all night, even in the playoff. Come on, man. We watched the documentary. He had a competition problem. He wasn't in there with a bunch of hoes. In fact, he was in there with a bunch of dudes that were staff, and he made them roll dice with him. That dude had a gambling problem. That was it. All right, who's next? It was Dre?
Dre.
All right, Dre.
I mean, I'm not going to say too much. I think throughout the conversation before we got to me, we kind of were toggling between the benefits of marriage and the benefit of coming from a two-parent household. And I think we can all agree that the latter is unequivocally positive, that a person from a two-parent household is likely to be more balanced, more judicious in the way they go about living their lives, and it's likely to become somebody in society. So I don't dispute that at all. And we know all the degenerates in society. You look at the criminal justice system, arrest records, sexual offenders, etc. They're all coming from, single parent households. So,
all right.
My wife is going to text me in a second. She hates that word degenerate. She hates when I use it. She's one of those, can you use a nicer word? No. They need to know they're degenerate. Say it again, Dre. Degenerate.
So, okay. So, I think this one is beat to death about what Dion said. But again, you wanted the quarterback is going to have to be focused, a leader, less emotional. And so was the offensive lineman, because all of their assignments are crafted. In the defense, he wanted the hungry guys who were emotional and just hungry, right? And their direction was to attack, just like the gangbangers, right? I mean, that's what he was talking. But the one thing he didn't say is that they were from black single mother households. Everybody just assumed that. He never used the word black.
I mean,
right?
well, 70% of the league is black, so
well, still, he didn't say that. The other thing, because let me tell you, you know what? White people from single mother households are just as crazy. The other thing also was, and I almost lost, but anyhow, but as far as marriage is concerned, we're talking about athletes and famous people and stuff like that. But the average man who's married, the same dynamic applies. That's why our societies and the communities are all effed up. You'll be hard pressed to find a nuclear family in the inner cities anywhere. And you know what I'm saying? So the fact is, it's not just the rich people and the direction and the purpose and it permeates throughout society. That's why society sucks now, and that's why the black community, with only 30% and declining marriage rates, it's complete chaos out there. That's it. It's just chaos. Every man and woman for themselves. And then you get some people say, well, here's a black man got to come in and swoop in and save the community and all that shit. There ain't no saving it, man. None. You got to build a new one. Period.
Indeed. King Spark.
Yeah, I would say everything that Africa Pop said. The quarterback is the manager on offense, and you would definitely want him to come from a two-parent household, because that's just assuming you've had a successful household. But in most cases, obviously, if you're in the running, but you want to see a household being managed. You're never too high. You're never too low. You always taking care of problems. You're always taking care of decisions. You've seen all this actually executed in front of your face, and it just translates well to being able to manage an offense.
I think that's why Lamar Jackson's having such trouble inside. I think they're using that against him.
I also think it's because he's managing himself. They don't want to set a bad precedent. You know what I mean? So
Well,
those
Lamar
things
has a
they both can
problem.
be true.
Lamar's main problem is that he could throw the football, and he's also still the fastest person on the football field. So that makes you privy to want to think to run every time. I mean, like I am the fastest dude on the
Yeah,
field.
yeah, but it's a
So
misnomer because
so I got a 50-50 chance of scoring out the backfield. So
his first
Yeah.
100 games, his numbers are just as high as
Well,
every other
no, I
rookie.
was gonna say Lamar is going exactly what Lamar is doing because people always bring race into it. Not you, but people like, oh, they don't want to give him what he's worth. No, he's representing himself. So I don't want to set a bad precedent. Now, you do that franchise tag. See if anybody else is willing to deal with his terms. Because if they don't give him what he asked for, I now have the power to
Right.
negotiate. So that's why any move that they make in the NFL, I weigh it against what I would do. And I'm like, this is actually the perfect move for them. They
It's
played it
called
smart.
collusion now. It's called
Exactly.
collusion.
So
it's
exactly.
collusion.
Oh, you colluding with other team? No. I'm trying to see if anybody else is stupid enough to give you the offer you look at, then I'll match it because they did it. But if
Yeah, they
not, then
all
the
talk
powers.
to each other. They all
Yeah.
talk to each other. They packed it in a corner.
Yep. All right. So let's get this question going. We start with Coco. Um, should we bring back shotgun weddings?
You talk about, oh Lord, when people get pregnant and then they get married.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. They ain't got no problem having babies.
Coco, before you talk, don't be the African business, please.
So let's get these answers in the chat as
But
well. What do
let
you
me actually, I will say yes, I do agree. And before I didn't, but now looking back, I do. So there was someone that we grew up with that they grew up in the church, and one of the pastor's daughters became pregnant,
Oh
and
yeah, by itself.
and so um, they got married. And to this day, I believe they're still married. They have 3 kids, and it kind of forced them to grow up because I'm going to be honest and say what a lot of people don't say. It is to have a child out of wedlock in our community is the ultimate. You will be um, uh,
You'll be a
kicked
leper.
out,
You'll just be a
disowned.
leper.
There you go. You'll be disowned,
Thank you, my
and
sister.
so a lot of women may secretly get the A word instead of to avoid um, disrespecting their family. So I do agree that it's better to raise that child in a marriage and learn to work together than to have it that you are you are setting this child up not for success from being apart, meaning that you will have to sacrifice. Let me just say this because I think a lot of women get this misconstrued. Once you have a child, your happiness comes second and possibly third. It is not about your happiness anymore. It's not about you. I see these not married, excuse me, these single women with children on these dating shows, and I'm just like, where are your children? Because what time do you have, particularly if your children are young, to be out and dating? Children take up a lot of time unless you're just sending your child off with other people, which is another issue all in itself. But I do believe that if you do have children outside of marriage, it's not the best thing, but you should make it work for the sake of the child to be married.
All right, bet. Let's go to Ikene. Should we bring back shotgun weddings? What do you think?
Yeah, it's very, very necessary in the marriage because if you look at it this way, when when childbearing happens out of wedlock, it's detrimental to the woman because number one, the man might have gotten what he need or what he needed, which is a child. Then he moves on. But if there are consequences, which means in Africa, if you have a child out of wedlock, especially a woman, you are regarded as a damaged goods. But in order to avoid that, being called a damaged goods, you want marriage to take place. You want that assurance, which is wedding. Once the assurance happens, then you can have the child. It protects you, and it protects you for a very, very good reason, meaning that you will do anything within your power to make it work. Because if you get out of that marriage as a damaged goods, you can only be qualified for somebody much more older. Number one. Number two, you can only be qualified for a man with other kids. You can't just come out and get a man without a child that will take care of you and another person's child. It doesn't happen in Africa. It does not happen. Once you have a child, that's it for you. Somebody grandfather will marry you, maybe somebody 20 or 40 years older than you. Yeah.
Somebody
Who'll be the father?
granddaddy.
Yeah, granddaddy. Not even a
That just
not
wants
even
a
a
young.
yeah, not a you're not going to get a young man, because a young man, because in Africa men usually marry women 5 or 10 years younger. They don't marry women around their age. They marry women mostly much more younger. So if you already have kids, you now, like my aunt, one of my aunties, she was pregnant when she was a teenager. So the man that married her was about 35 years older than her. She didn't have any choice. And she is now in her about to turn 60 or 60. Her husband has been dead 10 years ago. He was 90 something. So just look that. So then when women realize there is consequences for action, they close their legs.
Yep.
That's just what it is. But when there is reward, people abuse anything as long as there is reward in it. But if there is no reward, they think right. So not only is there going to be shotgun wedding, there has to be shaming as well. Because when you shame people for bad behavior, which is a collective shame, when your mom has to shame you, your dad has to shame you, your brothers and sisters have to shame you, you're not going to want to be shamed. Mm-hmm. But if you have a situation whereby a mother was a baby mama, a grandmother was a baby mama, they protect each other. So women are always going to go back to a place where they are protected, meaning that grandmama had the same problem that I do. So she's going to go back to grandmama. Or mother has the same problem. She's going to go back to mama because she knows that somebody is going to protect her. But when there is nobody to protect her, she's going to do the right thing.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Mr. Rich.
Yeah, I can.
Shotgun weddings.
Yeah, we kind of, I mean, I think we should, but I mean, I don't think it's possible here in the West. You know, you could only say things. I mean, I got a big family, but I'm the only one talking about marriage. Every time one of my cousins come up pregnant, male or female, I say, when you get married? And if I didn't say that, nobody's asking. Nobody asked. One of my cousins, he's going to get married to his girl. She was up. He's my blood cousin. She's my cousin-in-law. And she came up with her son from Florida. I said, well, when you guys get married? Well, don't ask me, ask him. I said, well, next time I talk to my cousin, I will. So now she's having another baby, but they're getting married. Right? So I'm like broadcasting it to everybody. I said, that's exactly what y'all need to do. You have 2 kids here. You know where else to go. They're both working. I said, get married. So I'm a big advocate, and I argue with a lot of my female cousins. It's funny. The 2 cousins I argue with the most, they're married. They're married. I mean, they're married. So what are you telling? What do you need to get married for? I said, well, you guys are married. What are you talking about? You know, I mean, and it seems like he's not unhappy. I said, you guys got covering of your guys, right? You can't tell the young women not to get married in our family. What happens to them when see, this is where foresight and insight comes in. I said, you're not using your insight. You definitely don't have any foresight, because what's going to happen to the ladies when they're 40, 50 years old? What are they going to be doing? You know? So anyhow, yeah, we could bring back shotgun weddings, but for whatever it's worth, it's not going to work in the West. That the cultural things that Ikine were talking about and different cultures, that cleaves people to marriage. There's no such thing in the West anymore. It really isn't. I mean, we have to bring it back, or you have to recreate it and make it. We could bring back shame. we could bring back all kinds of stuff, but the forces that are against marriage and everything cultural is very, very strong in this country. I mean, it's almost impossible to do. I mean, you got to go ahead and break the woke culture. You got to do all kinds of stuff. You got to be willing to be ostracized, canceled, and everything to say the kind of things you need to say to make things right again. It's going to need a critical mass of people. And you can't even tell baby mamas you think that, you know, women. Some people say, well, you got all these baby mamas out there, but a lot of them don't see anything wrong with having a baby. They don't see a damn thing wrong with having a baby out of wedlock. They're getting kicked out of their houses and record numbers and all that kind of stuff. How do you combat that? And then you got the dudes who are having babies, but it's not for legacy. The legacy is a secondary thing. They just have notches on their belt. You see a rapper with 18 baby mamas around him. There's a whole bunch of things wrong with that, right? One guy has 18 baby mamas. That's bad in itself. But have all 18 of those women around him smiling is the scariest part of it. That means that one dude, and I'm going to use the word damaged, 18 other women for the future. One dude. And he could even conjugate a verb. Yeah, gold teeth and stuff. Yeah, I mean, the guy, I couldn't believe it. I said, what the hell's going on here? So, anyway, we're doomed. It's just doomed.
Or in other words, one dude created 18 damaged goods.
That's right. I mean, here's the thing. Let me shut up on this one. 4 or 5 of those women, when they get to 30 years old, is going to think differently. And they're going to be looking for something to anchor them. And it's going to be tough for them to do that, right? Because of what they did in their youth, you know? And the rest of them will probably just have maybe 4 or 5 different baby fathers before they stop having babies. It's a plague. Anyway.
Here's the thing. I'll make it quick. Shotgun when it is needed if you are a father of a 2-parent household and you want to make sure you protect your daughter. You let your daughter know, I'm not playing this game right here with you. The moment I hear you are pregnant and I know who that boy is, we're not playing backup. We're playing bad kidnapping. You dragging that boy right here. You kidnapping the family too, right there. You got a priest right there.
That's the Nigerian way of getting married.
I'll try to hide it, but that is the fact. In Nigeria, that's what it happened in real life.
Oh, yeah.
The girl went to, everybody know Lagos Island, or not Lagos Island, correction, Victoria Island. There are 2 main colleges, King College and Queen College. Everybody know that particular high school, know that it really is. A girl went to Queen College, probably one of the best government high school for girls. And the father, who live in that building know very well, found out his daughter was pregnant. All we saw was 4 to 5 trucks full of serving with machetes and guns drove off. And less than 45 minutes later, boy bundled and rope, dragged out of the truck. The father come out with, I'm not going to call what it is. Again, I know what it means. I think part know what it is. That man was no joke. Let me be clear. Either you marry this woman, I'm going to chop your head off.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
That is a real father.
That's a real father, and that carries real time in the United States of America. I'm talking about.
I'm different. I
don't even believe in the laws, but that's just you just ran through. You gonna send somebody to prison for life. Okay, this is America. We have police.
Hey, Kickspark. Okay, let me tell you something. From what CBN is saying, I got to tell you, when you're 19 or 20 years old, you're already older now, so it's different way of handling the situation. You're not going to get somebody's child pregnant at 30 something, just like that, without having marriage in the mind. Most men, that is why most men, whenever they're like 20, their late 20s, when they start having unprotected sex, they're ready for the consequences. But these young folks are not ready. But this is the difference. When you see a father coming with brothers and a whole community because you got their daughter pregnant, man, you're going to be listening. And when you put it that your own dad is siding with them and your mother is siding with them, you have no place to run to, man, you're getting married. That is what you call forced marriage. You're getting married and nobody's going to, because you can't
You
even
got
call the
arranged
government. You need a
marriage, and then
house.
you got level 2 is
Forced
forced
marriage.
marriage.
This is forced marriage.
No,
I'm telling you. Like you get married real quick because they're not going to have that kid out of wedlock.
They add in detail, and again, I know this very well among African men. God forbid that man is a undercover billionaire. He don't want to know, maybe know out there. He got connection, and you get his daughter pregnant. If I was you, less than half a day, better just pay for my country immediately. I'm not playing around. Again, I know this very, very well. I think Papa know this very well. Among African prominent family, do not mess with their daughter.
Oh yeah, don't mess
If
with
they
their daughter.
hear,
Those rich
if they
families.
hear,
Oh boy.
if they hear, you knock up their daughter. Sure. Now, country, not even the policeman can stop the wrath. Sometimes people let they out of the policemen stay out of the way because they know they don't care about the law. If they want to have their way with you, you are done. So this is why when we see this, we know that well, we don't play that in our own family. I'm just different. I'm not gonna cut your head off. I'm gonna make sure. I'll make sure before you even. No, my thing is before my daughter have a boyfriend already, their friends are afraid of me. They think I'm Debo. That I will break somebody. And I told them, you mentioned my daughter, I'll beat you with a smile on my face.
Trigger Mike, bring us back to the mainland. We are deep in Nigeria right now. We are deep in the jungle.
All right.
Please bring us
Let's
back.
get final thoughts.
Bring us back.
Let's get final thoughts on the topic.
That's funny.
King Spark. So marriage. What are your
Marriage.
final thoughts? Why
Marriage
would
is
you
an
get married?
awesome thing. I think you should come together. The why I'm getting married is going back to like what y'all said, just to be grounded. Even once you become a man, I'm saying when you're struggling, it's one thing. But once you become a man, you got resources and you can go out, do what you want to, stay where you want to go, where you want to go. Your ass needs some structure. Well, I needed some structure. I need to sit my ass down somewhere, and it feels good to be at the bar and say, "Man, I gotta go home to my wife. Get the hell out of here. I got to go." But yeah, marriage is a wonderful thing, and we should focus on how to keep marriages together, what you should be doing to maintain your marriage, and have a successful marriage should be the first part of marriage conversations. Not what happens if your marriage was to fail. That's all I got.
Ruckus. Final thoughts, bro. Oh, you on mute?
There. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Black tech support.
Oh, damn. I was saying earlier about the whole shotgun marriage. What King Spark was describing was a DEFCON 3 marriage. It was DEFCON 3, a boy. No, but I mean, in my case, and I mean, I can only speak for myself and my experience. I mean, I've gone through a bad marriage, and I'm also now in a successful marriage. So I've seen both sides of the coin, right? But to me, bro, if you do it right, marriage is dope as hell, bro. Man, marriage is super dope. If you don't do your due diligence and be intentional about who you're gonna marry and who you're gonna spend your whole life with, it can be it can bring death. Literally, it can bring death to you, to your mental state in so many ways. Um, but in my case now, it's dope as hell. I won't take it back for anything. I'm so happy that I got married to the wife that I have. But it is the dopest thing to just be around your best friend of the opposite sex for the rest of your life, and bro, and just actually experience life together. Um, She's a wise woman. She's a great helpmate. She keeps me grounded. She keeps me focused.
Yeah.
She's just, bro. I'm grateful for what I have, bro. Like real talk. My marriage is dope as hell. So I'll leave it like that.
Nice.
All right, Ruckus.
I know,
Yes.
right? Mr. Ikene.
Gotta preach that.
With Ruckus straight mic drop, you gonna do another one?
Me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, marriage is, I got to be honest with you, there is nothing like getting married because number one, you need stability. Singleness is not stability.
Yeah.
It's not stability because number one, health wise, is really bad for you. You live in the morning, you're not eating right. In the afternoon, you're not eating right. At night, when you get back, you're eating late because food is not prepared before you get home. And then you sleep late and then you wake up in the morning very early to leave. So your health is messed up. But because of your youth, you think you're good. You're not good. It's a disaster awaiting. Then number two is that as a marriage brings responsibility. It comes with responsibility. You become more responsible because you're accountable. Like you see how men say, "Oh, I want to come home, and then she's gonna suck these balls, and then you're gonna do it." No, no, no. That is not all marriage is all about.
Y'all
A
gotta give
lot,
a super chat. Suck these balls. Y'all gotta give a super chat for suck these balls.
yeah, yeah.
Yo, price.
A woman need to put a challenge through you. You know, you got to go through those challenges because
Yeah.
women always going to cross that line that you draw. They're always going to piss you off. But the thing is that it redefines you. Whenever challenges come to you, especially marriage challenges, the way you react determines that you're a man. You are not a man until you solve problem. But when you become part of that problem, you're a fool. So marriage is the most necessary thing to do is to be married. But as a woman, if you think that you're going to get out of marriage because of how you feel, you're a failure to yourself and you're a failure to society. The only thing that I think that can make a woman to leave a marriage is if she's physically abused. Then that is it. Physically abused, but every other thing else, I disagree. You cannot get out of marriage just because of how you feel or because you think, okay, this man is cheating on me, I'm going to leave him. If he's not bringing disease home, work it out. But if you leave that man for another man, your problem is not going to stop because another man will do the same thing. The man after that will do the same thing. It's never going to stop.
Coco, final thoughts.
Final thoughts is this September, me and my husband will be 13 years married. I got married at 27, and I've been single. I've been married. Married is far greater. Married is one of the best life decisions I've ever made as an adult, because not only did it help with, I mean, setting the foundation for my life, but also, who you choose as a spouse determines so much on what you can do in your career, what you could do in your family, the two families coming together. And I think a lot of the conversation, people talk about marriage out of a fear mentality. And if you operate in fear, nothing successful will come out of it. So we have to start changing the mentality for a lot of people in the Black community out of fear into what is the benefit, what is the good thing that I can offer this person, and the community being married. Because if you get married because of yourself and selfishness, then it's not going to work out. You have to be a very selfless person to be married. And I think that's what a lot of people are mistaken. It's all about me, my feelings, what I want. That's not what marriage is about to be successful. Lastly, I think, unfortunately, because when Mr. Payne, he said something that really got to me. He said he was the first one that mentioned marriage because it was just not even a thought. And I think if you grow up in a community where marriage is not even a thought, it's like a maybe, and it's not something to strive to be, is when it's really messed up. And I really think the fear-based opposition to marriage. We need to have more discussions to kind of think it through and work out exactly where all the fear is coming from, and then combat that fear with the facts. Because if you look, Black people are the least married and also have the least financial resources, have the least wealth building, um, um, the least money in terms of coupledoms, and there's no family without a husband and wife and kids, in my opinion. There are just broken homes. So we and Mr. Payne said, you can't save everyone. I'm not for saving everyone. My message is not for everyone. My message is for the people who have hope and want to be better, men and women working together so that we can do better for our children and our children's children. But it starts with us. It can't be individualized. That's what messes us up. Thinking, oh, it's my way, it's what I want. No, it's community. Like Ekene called me our wife. There's a reason, and it's not for any sexual perversion. It is because communities, families, that's what builds legacy. That's what builds structure. That's what builds wealth. That's what's in the wealth is in the community. But when it's broken down, then that's when all of what we're seeing in this antagonistic back and forth happens. I will never talk down about Black men. There are crappy people everywhere, men and women, but I'll never talk down when it comes to Black men because I have a good Black man. And it'd be crazy for me, I'm spitting in his face if I say Black men are whatever. What I will say is there's a lot of broken people. So as Trigger Mike allows for these conversations to happen, I'm about solutions. I'm not a complainer. My husband helped me with that as well. There's so many. A good marriage just makes you a better person. So that's my 2 cents. I can't wait for the next topic and the next show. Thank you, Trigger Mike.
Is my let me piggyback off something that you said, because you said it got me thinking about weddings and things in society that women are so stressed out about all the time. And you said something about community and wealth. The community is actually your wealth. The same way we talk about kids not having to grow up poor and without experiences because most of the other kids have dads, that is what wealth means. Where just because one person or one father passed away, if there are enough fathers in that community, that kid is still taken care of. Now, a lot of you women want $100,000 weddings. And do you know how we got here? And I thought about this the other day. Do you know how we got to the point of $100,000 wedding or a $50,000 wedding? Is because one person pays for it in America. Imagine being part of a community where somebody's going to make your dress or pay for it. Another family is going to pay for the food. Another family is going to pay for the venue. That is what community is for. And that's why Black people always fucking stressed, because y'all got to pay for everything yourself. There is no community. That's how we got to this point. Imagine people loving you so much and the way you grew up and the type of child you were that everybody wants to take on burden for you. Talking about we don't need marriage in the community. Without marriage, there is no community.
Yes.
That's an expensive ass wedding, bro. It's crazy.
I'm so stressed.
My wedding was $3,000.
My dad died when I was 14, and who helped raise me in his absence was the uncles and the aunties that I was around. So thank you, Trigger Mike. To your point, we have nothing if we don't have community, and we're lacking community right now.
Absolutely. CBN.
In my African voice, how do you expect me to do a final thought after 3 African mic drop? How is that possible?
I didn't hear nothing you said.
I say in my African.
Wait, somebody.
I say after 3 African mic drops. Okay. How do you expect me to think after that?
Yeah, I heard that. I'm sorry.
I'm
hearing like WWF in the background or something. Somebody's fighting.
No worries. No worries.
I'll say it again one more time.
He's gonna yell at the whole family. Get quiet!
Who is talking?
See what I'm saying? I can't do it after 3 African mic drops. and speak my own piece. It's not possible because he thought what I wanted to say, he thought what I wanted to say, and she. So all I can say, I can agree to my three African brothers and sisters. They're correct about what I'm saying, but I will say they real clearly. Without marriage, there's no black community. Without marriage, there's no black economics. Without marriage, you can forget about structure and order. Period. I'll tell you guys, forget about the black community, build a new tribe. You are far better to find people of like-minded who see things the way you see things, who believe the way you believe as well, who would focus the way you are focused. You come together with those type of people, build a new tribe, build a new community, and build a new economic with those kind of people and do business with those. Leave the trash behind. Leave the butter who is broken and make 18 broken goods, aka Future, aka Nick Cannons. And leave all the jabroni that celebrate on top of jabroni, because they're jabroni as well.
Did you say jabroni? I haven't heard that word in years.
Oh, I got a library of what I want to use on certain people. But if I go off, they'll say, what happened to you, Black David? You're not like that last year? I had enough. I'm just saying. But
Right,
keep it real. Let's stop the nonsense. You want to be married? Be serious about it. Don't make no excuse for it.
I agree.
Find like-minded people. Let them school you the right way.
Yep.
Other than that, run to the hill and leave these single mamas alone.
My man EBD says a good marriage equals Mr. A plus Miss B plus suck these balls. Mic drop, and he ain't even on the panel today. All right, Mr. Rich, take us out. What are your final thoughts on this?
Yeah,
In
for
fact,
being married
you
to
got
me,
the most years. There you go. Go ahead.
yeah, it was just, it's funny when I was, it felt like a biological imperative for me, something that was just natural to do. And because the time leading up to me finding my wife, I didn't know who she was, but I was in the mood to find a wife to get married to. I mean, it wasn't just happenstance. I mean, I was really looking for a woman to marry. And so, I cut off certain kind of women that I didn't even want to date and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't like I was any great shakes, but I was looking. So when I ran across my wife and we started courting, really, it wasn't more like dating, I kind of knew. I said, this one is a keeper. I met her parents, she met mine, and it just kept going. And here we are. I've never done anything but work for 38 years. I've been married for 35. So I mean, when you have that kind of longevity, I find it kind of easy. When I find people say, marriage is difficult, and you get your ups and downs, but it's just that hasn't been my experience. It's just been a gas, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's something without having to try to go run and chase down other women and all that kind of stuff. So that's out of the equation. I mean, some guys want to have it. I mean, every man wants to look at a nice, pretty woman, but you just keep yourself out of those situations where you have to go cheat on your wife. For me, if I was to cheat on my wife, right, since I always had to work to get laid, I would have to actually premeditate to go out and find a woman and do this and do that. Because if a woman came up to me and just said, "Hey, listen, big boy, you look kind of, I want to give you something," I would automatically think something's up. She's going to try to drug me or rob me, because that's just not my experience. So I would have to go out and actively look for another woman. And to do that, that's real cheating. So it's been real easy for me. Me and the wife, we just hang out together. We do all that stuff. And, so in my family, I try to promote marriage, and I tell them why. I mean, I write stuff. I wrote a piece for my cousins because we had this conversation. I said, this is why you guys should promote marriage. And I have a whole one pager, and I got 13 reasons why it's on my page. I wrote something, the ties that bind. One of the questions, one of the comments is a link to my one pager. So anyway, I mean, I kind of write a little bit when I just get kind of into my head, and I just put it on a piece of paper. And I try to limit it to 1 page, so I have to get all the points out. Anyway, but marriage was natural to me. I'm glad I did it. It's one of the best things, the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And that's all I can say.
Yes, sir. I want to thank everybody on the panel today for coming through. Tomorrow we're gonna do a ratchet topic. You got to mix the ratchet with the responsible. So, all right. So I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. All right. Thank everybody for coming on today. Appreciate that. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming through today. Tonight on the Lapeef Network, we got the big show, Lapeef Let's Talk. Make sure you tune in for that. What I want everybody to do is hit that like button if you have not on this broadcast. Hit that like button right now. Get us up 20 likes right now. All right. Do that for me. I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you for tuning in to the Trigger Mike Show on the Lapeef Network. What I want you to do also, follow everybody you saw today on their individual platforms. Go back in the video, look at their @ symbol, follow them on IG, on YouTube, any single one of their social media platforms. Also follow me as well on IG @ Trigger Mike Show and on YouTube @ Trigger Mike Show. I have my own page and I do content for you as well. So please make sure you do that. Get my subscribers up. And I appreciate that. As always, you can catch me here weekday mornings on the Lapeef Network, holding it down for your morning content. We will see you tomorrow. Remember, Lapeef Let's Talk is tonight. I will see you there. All right. Trigger Mike out.